don't care if you've been trying to just hunker down for the Rona all night. If you up, smash that like button. Welcome to Black of the Black Times Infinity. I'm your host, Cthulhu's Prodigy, coming to you live and direct from the stack. Smoke me out, fam, with that dank shit on my left. Blue.
I want to walk around with my dick out, but I have to wear clothes, just like you need to wear a mask.
God damn. On my far right, engineering on the ones and twos, choke people out on threes, supports Chronos.
How can I follow that? I mean, he's talking about just dick swinging and masks. What? All right. So this immediately got demonetized. It's all good though. They all get demonetized, most of them, so it doesn't matter. Go ahead.
In the middle, we got Stitch.
If you like ketchup on your well done steak, you probably like Swole Abbey too.
Oh, look at this guy. We're about to get in an argument.
Boo this man.
Yeah, boo this man.
Last but not least, we got the oldest ninja in the world, Old Ninja.
Your mistress says swole lives matter.
Oh,
Hell yes.
yeah.
Soul lives do matter. Oh man, all right. So,
Okay.
Listener of the week. I guess we're just gonna do this in the actual correct order this time because we keep messing it up. Listener of the week would be You're My Brother. Listen a bunch of times. So it's not my brother. That's the actual person's username. So
I was about to ask.
that's confusing, isn't it?
I'm like, my brother? Like, what?
my brother listens on. My brother listens on. Go ahead.
Is it Brother Man from the 5th floor?
Maybe. I don't know. But my brother listens on iTunes, which is a terrible, terrible thing to listen on anything on because Apple's a terrible product. Line, so just stop it. Get something else. And that's why I can't see when he listens. I can only see when somebody listens on SoundCloud. I can see their actual username. First in the chat would be nobody yet that I can see, but sometimes I have to refresh, so let me see. I can't tell. It's taking a while to refresh. Yep, nobody yet. There's one person, they haven't commented, so wait on folks. Oh, come on now, Blue. Alright, we got any RPs?
Yep. So we're gonna be reporting out some St. Ives for Nick Cordero. So this story is kind of messed up. So Broadway actor and TV actor Nick Corrado has died due to complications of COVID-19. Corrado was he was a guest star in Law & Order, SVU, Lilyhammer, and Blue Bloods. He was also his stage work also includes The Toxic Avenger, Waitress, and A Bronx Tale. As we reported back in April, Cordero had to lose his leg due to complications of COVID-19 on April 18th. On May 1st, he had major lung damage, and then on July 5th, he passed away after being in the hospital for 95 days. He was 41.
Dude, that shit slowly killed him. That's fucked up.
And he lost his leg.
That's all bad.
Next up, we have I'm gonna mess this up, but Enino Maricon. That's all right.
Isn't that a curse word?
Oh,
Yeah, you can't say that. I mean, you can, but Jesus, man.
His last name spelled Morricone. Italian composer and trumpet player. He passed away at the age of 91. He's composed films such as The Good, The Bad, The Ugly, The Thing, The Untouchables, and The Hateful Eight. One of his most famous pieces of work is The Ecstasy of Gold, which has been played in the opening scenes of Jackass Number 2. It's also, I guess, Metallica
Yes,
did
it
an
is.
instrumental
I was
version
about
of
to
it.
say, no. It's what they play before they come out. This is how you know to get the fuck to the stage because they start playing that song.
So that
On the live
too,
fest.
but they did that as well, but there's also, in addition to, an instrumental cover that they did with minimal lyrics performed by James Hetfield.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. But the things that happen though is that Metallica usually plays late at night, like on all their shows. I think it's like their thing. But they'll start playing the original version of Ecstasy of Gold,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how you know that they're about to come out.
Marcone, he started in jazz band as a trumpet player, and then he went on to writing music for a Western film in the U.S. His music composition spanned from 1970 up until 2020. He's been nominated for Grammy 9 times. He's won 1 Academy Award for The Hateful Eight, He scored over 200 films and TV projects. He died due to injuries caused by a fall. He was 91.
Didn't he do the classic spaghetti western?
Yeah.
The classic spaghetti western one.
Most of them, yes, and I didn't list them all because there's too many. There's literally
Yeah,
like
The
50.
most iconic one is like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Which is in
That's
the
more
good.
iconic than the Metallica stuff, in my opinion.
Well, no. Have you heard Ecstasy of Gold?
Ecstasy of Gold, yeah,
It's pretty iconic
featured it's featured in Jackass Part 2. Like
I didn't watch it in Jackass.
Well, no. I mean, it was in old westerns too, though. It's like the. I can't
But
remember.
it's in countless movies, actually.
Yeah.
Some numerous films.
If I played it for you, you would probably know it. I can't play it on.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's
But
just.
the spaghetti western is like, when you're in trouble, your mom walks in the room with a belt, and all you hear is.
Hold on. Can you guys hear?
That's how you know you're in trouble.
I'll see if I can play it for like a couple of seconds. Not that it'll matter on this podcast because we're probably not going to monetize it, but
yeah, I didn't list like all of his stuff. He has like a mountain of work. I mean, to give you a little bit more, he scored The Professional, Exorcist,
Damn.
or Exorcist Part 2, I should say. Ripley's Game, Bullworth. I mean, the list goes on and on.
Good shit.
Oh, one second. Nobody talk real quick because I can't. Hold on a second. You got to be muted for a second. Just give me 1 sec. Sorry. All right. Now you guys can talk. Have you heard this song before? Can you hear this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is Ecstasy of Gold.
I don't think I've ever heard it before.
Yeah.
Yeah, most people know this song.
I'm gonna still say spaghetti over that one in terms of fame,
All right.
but that's all good.
What's it called again?
Ecstasy of Gold.
Yeah, it's from
Or
the good bad and the
Ecstasy
ugly.
of Gold.
It's from the
It
good,
is
the
from the
bad,
good to bad.
and the ugly. Yeah.
Stitch, I know.
Yes.
I need to know something. Why are you sending these stank ass dick pics to Neil Druckmann and
Yeah.
fucking Naughty Dog? What is going on with your hatred? Why are you one of these incels that's
No.
actually trying to roast The Last of Us 2? What is going on with your Swole Abbey hate?
You better check your receipts, because I have no issues with the creator of the game, the voice actor of the game, or the entire story itself. I am able to separate reality from storyland and not go after people with hateful tweets and death threats. Unlike people of your ilk that choose to attack people like Brie Larson for being an Oscar winner, $100 million actress.
No.
I
$1 billion film.
Yeah, I can sit back and just enjoy. Like I said before last week, Last of Us was an amazing game. I gave it in the elite category of 9.5 to 10. I just was all about Team Ellie over Team Abby.
No,
You said it right the first time. See, you said it
I'm
right.
sorry.
Team
I
Abby.
was trying to think about. I'm sorry. It was just fantasizing
I know.
about killing.
Fantasizing about them swole ass arms. It's all good. We get it. The Freudian slip.
She wasn't swole enough to get off that pole though. See, I couldn't say that. I couldn't say that because you hadn't beat it yet. Or whatever.
Oh, damn.
But
Still
apparently, incels, not myself, decided to get on the Twitterverse and decide to spread their hate and just wrath towards the voice actors, actresses, the story creators for The Last of Us, because they just were not about how the story played out with Abby and Joel and everything. I know we've played the game and all of us on here have beat it, so we're gonna go both spoilers if you haven't beaten The Last of Us, but essentially people were just mad about how the story played out. They loved Joel from the first game. Same thing with Ellie, and they felt a real bond with that connection. But they don't know how to separate reality from a fantasy story, a fictional story, and decided to just go after and throw death threats at people on the internet. And it's sad and it's embarrassing. And you need to just get your people in check, Prodigy.
So you love. So it sounds like you love Abby, now, Swole Abby now.
Abby won't swole. Last we saw her, she was a straight up bitch on a pole. That's what we last saw her as.
Damn it.
She's still like
Why do
young.
you hate?
She's still
Why
an
do you
arms
hate
bigger
her
than.
so much?
She's still an arms
Why are you
bigger than
living
you
in the
though.
past?
He hates her so much because of Joel, as most people do.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean,
People
listen.
hate her because of Joel.
There are.
Okay, hold on.
Go ahead.
Let's set the fucking record straight on this, and obviously full spoilers and everything.
Here we go.
Joel killed, at least to our knowledge, because we don't know if what happened in Santa Barbara is even legit quite yet. Joel seemed to kill pretty much every single known living Firefly, with the exception of Owen and Abby.
So I would rather clarify that to say that Joel killed pretty much the entire Firefly camp in Boston
Yeah. That's
because
fair to say.
No, they were in
Owen-
Utah. Well, they were in Utah for the hospitals in Utah.
Oh,
was it the okay, yeah, they started in Boston, went to Utah, so all the Fireflies that were there at the Utah camp outlet was literally eviscerated by a single man, and that was Joel. But he did not, I don't believe he obviously didn't wipe out the entire Fireflies at all.
Well, hold on. Abby and maybe Owen, it seems like, although Owen has his own issues, are certainly searching in part 2 for the remaining Fireflies. I think we're all
True.
on the same page with that. The last we've seen in game of said Fireflies pretty much was that hospital.
Yeah.
That's all that we see. That's all that we're given. But we also know that there was some stationed in Santa Barbara, and we don't know how long they were there because it's years later from The Last of Us 1.
We don't even know if that's
All-
fake.
We don't, but we do know that there was obviously a series of networks. Somehow Owen found out about it, and it looks like there was a base. The base was empty, and there was like codes, Firefly codes that Abby recognized.
But
So
hold
there
on,
was
we
some
go
kind of
down-
network.
We going down a rabbit hole. All I'm trying to say is Joel brought the violence to the Fireflies.
yeah.
Yes, he did.
It's a violent world. It's a violent world.
But you can't forgive Abby's violence. Revenge.
She
It
did
don't
give
matter.
you that.
She's part of the game.
I mean,
Let it
Abby,
out.
Killing babies.
Abby,
Killing babies is part of
killing
the game.
babies. Yeah,
It's part of the game.
Abby spent 4 years on a quest for revenge. Ellie spent 3 days. Well, initially 3 days, and then possibly 2 more years on top of that, or more, to get basically caught up.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna be Team Swole Abby. I mean, she was somebody that was actually rational in her decisions. She didn't seek revenge beyond the person that did wrong to her life. She didn't threaten. She didn't kill a pregnant person. She didn't threaten a kid that was knocked out to get somebody to fight. You know, I mean, Ellie fucked up, and this is actually one of the legit criticisms that I can understand from some of the fans, but it's not enough for me to like give it less than a 10. Is that the story? I think it made people uncomfortable with the story because it kind of went away from what they were kind of expecting. But I like that aspect that they went in a direction that I didn't expect. Like the fact that I was playing as a fucking bad guy, you know, for like half the goddamn game. I didn't expect that, and the way they did it was really cool. I guess, you know, some people were saying, oh, you know, I guess, you know, Abby and Ellie should have teamed up, and then later on in the story, then, you know, they could have like come to blows. But I'm just like, no, I like the way they did it. I like the way they did it. Like, yeah.
So I think a lot of people didn't like the path that Ellie was set on because they said that she was too far removed from her character in part 1. But I'm looking at it like, well, when she was like 14 in the original one, now she's like 19 or 20, maybe 21 even. And she did a lot of killing in that time. I mean, she even talks about the techniques that Joel has taught her with interrogation, and she just does it off the cuff. She just doesn't care. It was like nothing to her, and she was willing to do it on a whim. And with growing up with that kind of violence, her path of vengeance was literally just like tunnel vision. And like Cronus was talking about, Abby kind of was like that, but she was able to scale it back a little bit. She was able to reel it in.
Well, literally, in the first one, she starts on that path because she kills this cannibal rapist dude and bludgeons him pretty much. Yeah, he pretty much bludgeons him to death. So we've seen the beginning footsteps towards this progression of violence just because of everything that's been put in front of Ellie and what she's experienced.
Got Abby on the brain.
Whatever. But we've seen. So I don't understand how people are kind of surprised by Ellie is too violent or anything. I don't buy that criticism. If people are saying that, it's like they weren't paying attention to the first one or forgot it, because there's a lot of violent shit that goes down. That even though you're playing as Joel, Ellie is right there at your side, witnessing you stabbing people in the neck the entire time, and she's fucking up people also.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of the stuff that I don't understand. I was showing this to the Oathbreaker. Like, there's people that were hating on it because they felt like there was too much LGBTQ plus agenda. They're trying to appease this. People were saying that Anna Sarkeesian was part of the development, which is not true by Neil Druckmann himself.
Anita.
He posted it out that she had nothing to do with the game. People were saying that they're basically complaining that there's a trans character in the game. None of that's like really important. They're saying the story just went off the rails. They just didn't like the direction about Joel. And I'm like, Joel, you literally see Joel in the beginning of the game for very few minutes. And when you play as Ellie and see him in flashbacks, he's not doing violent shit. He's doing father-daughter stuff, which I thought was great. But a lot of people, they just had these issues with people's orientation and what they thought was some kind of hidden agenda, which I feel none of that was true.
Yeah, you said it, old ninja. Here's the thing for me. Like, Naughty Dog made the game that they wanted to make, and if we're honest, when those leaks dropped, some people started hating immediately. Some of the leaked shit was bullshit and wasn't even true and in the games. A few things were, but some people just started hating right off the bat from the leaks themselves. That's why you saw literally an hour after the game dropped, this consorted campaign to review bomb it and everything, even with people who could not have physically completed the game or even gotten halfway through.
Well, yeah, that's why I think that they need to do with like Metacritic and Rotten Tomatoes. They need to do a better job with like editing their user reviews. And y'all want to talk about free speech, all that? I don't really give a fuck at this point. You can't call free speech when it comes to a private company. Okay, if you're out there talking nonsense of a game you obviously didn't play, and you just leave like a 0-star review with like no actual critique of the game or like nonsense critique of the game, then it needs to be nullified. Like that review. Obviously, it didn't affect their sales, thank goodness. But it's
fastest selling PlayStation 4 exclusive.
Yeah, but the fact that these trolls can like review bomb a game like this, it shouldn't be possible. Like there needs to be steps taken to stop this sort of bullshit mob behavior.
Yeah. For example, just to put like a bow on it, on Friday, that first Friday that it was out, it had way lower user reviews than Mass Effect Andromeda, than Fallout 76, than Evolve, than some games that we all kind of collectively thought, hey, these are subpar games. You know what I mean?
The best was Anthem. It had lower reviews than Anthem.
Yeah. That's total nonsense.
Yeah. So, it's nuts. And I'm not saying you have to love the game. I'm not saying you have to love the character. Even though I'm Team Swole Abby fucked over Mel pretty fucking horrendously in a lot of ways with her getting down with
multiple times.
Yeah, and you know what I mean? But I feel like she showed more compassion than Ellie.
Oh.
But that's what makes this story great, is because none of these characters are angels.
Yeah,
they all have big, huge character flaws in themselves, and Naughty Dog and I'm telling a story again because the first one was amazing, and they came back and told their story, and it's their characters. People, as much as you love them and be like, oh yeah, Joel, I'm a big fan of Joel, Ellie, and everything. You're fans of them. They aren't your characters. It's not your story. You didn't create them. It's not your story to tell. So respect the artists and the storytellers of the story that they want to tell. If you don't like the story, go create your own fucking character, get your game published, and tell the story that you want to fucking tell.
Yeah, I think that's something that's like
Yeah.
left out of these discussions is that literally the same guy that directed the first game directed the second game and wrote. So it's like this is the direction that he wanted these characters to go in, and the fact that you happen to like them in the first one but didn't seem to understand, and it's like it's from the same person's mind. Like this is where he wanted him to go. So stop complaining. What I think most people don't seem to understand is that at the end of the game, it sets up a lot of situations for a third game.
Oh yeah.
You know, that people just they just
much.
need to throw out the fucking window. Like
as well as DLC. I think DLC is in there too.
Well,
yeah,
if you think about it, like, if you think of it this way, like,
Alright.
if they played the first game and they loved it, and the second one they didn't love, like, it's not about, like, the character and the story being told. I think it's more than that. I think there's a little bit of hatred into it because of the LBGQ plus thing.
Oh yeah,
Because,
for sure.
because the characters didn't really change dramatically. The storyline, the gameplay, all that stuff was, like, the same. So that's the only element that was different between the first one and the second one. So that's sad that people have a problem with that.
So like one of y'all, I don't know who brought this up like a week or so ago, but a lot of these people that claim to love this game obviously did not play the DLC, or else they would not be upset that Ellie is lesbian.
Yep.
They would not be upset at all. Instead of saying his character's been changed so dramatically, it's like, no, this has always been there. And if you really love this game that you claim that you do, then you should have played the DLC. Whatever excuse that you have for not playing the DLC does not warrant you review bombing the game. That just shows that you are a liar, a faker, and a piece of shit.
Yeah, but I mean,
Let me add one quick other thing too. Prior to 2013's The Last of Us dropping, that first game dropping, all we really knew from modern Naughty Dog was the Uncharted franchise, and so our expectations they were fairly high because we had Uncharted 2, which was great, and I think we even had Uncharted 3 by this time, which was really good. But we didn't know if they could pull something off with a brand new IP, and so we kind of had tempered expectations. For the sequel, obviously, our expectations are through the roof, and for some people, some haters, basically, it didn't meet those expectations, which is totally fine. But, you just can't go overboard with your stupid ass hatred.
well, I'll give you like a critique of the game, but also like their way forward for like not Uncharted, for Last of Us 3. One thing I didn't like about the game is that there was no real villain that came to a conclusion. All right, so the villain in the main villain in Last of Us 2 was supposed to be Abby, but then it kind of turned around to be Ellie, and then it was just like, okay, well they both live at the end, and then it's like, where do we go from here? The other villains, quote unquote villains, that should have been bosses in the game, were the leaders of these factions. It was what was
Isaac.
Isaac. It was the lady from the Seraphites, and it was the leader of the Rattlers. Two of which you don't even fucking meet in the entire game.
Yeah, because one of them's already dead. One of them died as a martyr, which started one faction, and then the Rattlers, I don't even know. I don't think you even. Did they even mention the name of a?
No.
I think they do.
And to me, that's.
I think they do. I'm not even sure.
Well, to me,
Is it because of The Last of Us that new trend's going around saying like this is the villain of the movie, but this is the actual villain?
No, I mean, there's no.
I don't know.
Let me just finish my thought here.
Okay.
It's just the fact they didn't actually introduce a villain that you defeated in the game. That's a storytelling problem. I think if you watched like any movie and then at the end, like nobody was defeated, like an action movie, you'd be like, this is kind of fucking weird. And so for that, I'm like, okay, that's a legit critique. There was no villain, but it sets it up for the third game. I mean, obviously, there's going to be revenge stories that are going to be told in fucked up ways, just like this one. There's going to be multiple. There's 3 factions that Ellie and Abby have fucked with collectively, and they all have to face the consequences in part 3. And I hope in part 3 they can close the books on some of these revenge stories, because in this one they didn't close the book on shit. They closed the book on Joel.
Yeah.
But everybody else
sure.
is Joel and a couple other characters, but they were like ancillary characters. They need to do a better job in the next game with having resolutions to problems with factions. And so that's the main thing I want to say. That's hopefully Naughty Dog will do that going forward. But other than that, I have a very positive view of the game. Obviously, I gave it 10 out of 10. But just give us resolutions in the next game.
I think that's fair.
Shit, I won't be surprised if they flip the script on us, like, on the next game. All of a sudden, like, it's like a death wave that just comes through and you gotta run from it or some shit. Who knows?
Yeah. Anyway, we
all I know is that Rat King fucking fight was crazy. I was like, holy shit, I was not expecting that.
Oh, man.
God
That's
damn.
nothing.
Wait, which one?
The Rat King is basically
The thing that's mutated shit.
Yeah, they
Oh,
infected.
in the hospital thing?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
Holy
yeah, I
shit.
thought about that last week after the cast. I was like, fuck, I forgot to bring that thing. That thing was fucking, I was just running and grabbing and running and grabbing.
Yeah. So if y'all haven't played the game or anything like that, which I mean we would spoil the shit out of it for you. Sorry. There's like a boss in the game called the Rat King, which I didn't know until like afterwards. But it's this infected thing that is made up of like a bunch of other infected people. So it's like this huge fucking monstrosity with like different bodies and limbs and shit that just rampages at you and can
It's like
throw.
a Resident Evil boss.
Yeah, for real. It was like a Resident Evil boss. I was like, dude, and like the when you think you beat it, like a thing comes out of the body and like runs away, and you gotta fucking track it down. It's just like it's a really insane boss fight. I think it was like really well done because it was fucking terrifying. Yeah.
I was terrified. I was like, what the fuck? Like the thing broke off, and I was like, you got to be kidding me, because I'm barely killing this thing. When I finally killed it, I was like, I thought I killed it with like my last bullet.
Yeah.
And now this fucking thing falls off, and I'm like, please tell me that went somewhere else in the map, and now this thing isn't running around the same area. But nope, now I gotta fucking
Gotta get it.
deal with both these motherfuckers.
Yeah.
It was horrible,
it was great.
but good.
I think that might have been the best boss in all of the Last of Us, both of the games.
Yeah,
I think so.
I was just going to say the first one did not have, in my opinion, really dynamic boss battles per se. I didn't really even like the David boss battle in the kitchen of that one log cabin all that much.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was it was subpar.
Yeah. But I mean, this is a 2013 game, so I'm trying to cut them some slack too.
Well, I mean,
From
so
PS3.
you can still have good boss battles. You know, I mean, Jesus Christ, we got God of War at that time frame, like the old ones. You know, and those ones have fucking epic boss battles.
Yeah, but
Even Uncharted
those
boss
are those
battles.
button. I love God of War 3. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like the tiny button time. What's that thing? You have to press.
Quick time?
Yeah,
Quick
time
time.
events. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of that.
PS4, like this generation games, like at least like the last couple of games that came out, like the God of War on PlayStation 4, like you be playing a game, you think that it's over, you're like, oh shit, like that was a badass fucking boss, and like that shit was hard, and all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, there's still more gameplay to go. Like Spider-Man was that way too. Spider-Man on PS4, you thought the game was over, but there was still a whole bunch more to go. And I like that with games nowadays, where you think it's over, but there's still a whole lot more to go.
Well, this is what's good about coming to an end of a generation of console games, is that you get like that the last like nut spasm at the end. It's like the best. You know what I mean? But then like you got to get a couple of games when the next generation starts, and it's going to be kind of like a lull for a while until it it builds back up. So right now we're just enjoying that last little bit of the best of this generation. It's going out with a blast, just like the PS3 went out with a blast. And I think this console generation is, except for the Xbox, it's doing like a much better job.
Yeah.
You know, I mean they're putting out quality games. Like the past like few exclusive games that were like blockbusters, you know, The Last of Us 2, God of War, Spider-Man. I'm sure there's other ones other than that, but those are like
Fantasy Horizon.
Yeah, Horizon Zero. Yeah, those are like fantastic games that are like at the very end of a console generation. And I think we have. Go ahead.
So the PlayStation 4 came out in 2013. These were the PlayStation 3 games that came out in 2013. So we had The Last of Us.
Yeah.
The last game for that generation. We have Grand Theft Auto 5.
Still.
We have Bioshock Infinite. Battlefield 4. Devil May Cry. Tomb Raider. Batman Arkham Origins. We had Assassin's Creed Black Flag. Like, these games are like epic fucking consoles. Saints Row 4 was on there.
Yep.
Well, this is
Actually, God of War Ascended it's on here too.
Yeah, that's like the last like old school God of War. I mean, it wasn't. I still enjoy the game, but when you play like the other God of Wars, I can understand why people say it's not the best. It definitely wasn't the best. And the last God of War that's the best God of War of all time, hands down. But what's crazy is that the development cycles with these games are becoming kind of untenable now. I mean, they started making these games at the beginning of when the console came out. So think about how long that is. I mean, like God of War, it took them like 5 fucking years to make that game.
Yep.
That's an entire generation, and we got one game. Exactly. So I think that after this console generation, they're probably have to rethink how we're gonna do console gaming going forward. It's either gonna have to be dramatically larger budgets and staff for these games, or they're gonna have to make the console generations longer so they have a longer time period for quality games to come out. And don't get me wrong, I mean,
Yeah.
and it's like what some of these larger corporations do, they kind of cheat. Like with Assassin's Creed and like some Ubisoft games, like they get to reuse all these same assets from previous games and they can build upon them. But when you come to like a God of War or a Last of Us, it's difficult for them to do that, and like create all and even with like Assassin's Creed, like they do right now they're doing every 2 years, right? But the every 2 year thing, it's like different teams that are working on those. So they're working on those for like still like 4 or 5 years. But they have the staff to do that. And I think most people don't really seem to understand that. And it's becoming cost prohibitive. That's why I think that there's justification to be said that they're going to raise prices, and we're already seeing it now for the next generation of games. It's justified to me.
It's confirmed. Yeah, I mean, I mentioned it a week or two ago, but there was just no way possible financially that they were going to stay at $60. It's been that way for two generations. They've already said for this year's 2K, NBA 2K, which is a super popular annual franchise, it's going to be $70 on the PS5, Xbox. What is it? Xbox
Series X.
Yeah.
Series X, whatever.
With that being said, though, there's always the GTA 5 route that you can take. I mean, GTA 5 is still in the top selling games today. Like, seriously, that's fucking. It might be an aberration, but it's still coming. Like, it's still top selling. I think that more companies should look at those models, but it's also it hampers their ability to make new games, and so they're getting criticism for that because they're still putting in all this time in it. But it's still a good game to play. Go ahead.
The question I have is how much, like, since the actual physical game is gonna go up in price, but what about like the season passes and the DLCs? Like, are we gonna see an increase in that as well? Because a lot of the games, like the season passes are like maybe like $30-$40 for the season pass, but like some of the DLCs can be like $20 or something like that. We're gonna see an increase in that as well.
I mean, we likely might, but it really depends on the. I think right now a lot of game makers are, even in this generation, we already saw this happen, is where they're kind of testing the waters of what people will tolerate with DLCs. And some of them have been trying to use basically like GoFundMe tactics to like fund a DLC. I think Devil May Cry was like one of the first ones to do that, and it was fucking horrific because they said, hey, if you buy the special edition and enough people buy it, then we'll come out with more DLC. And it's like, that's not how you traditionally will make a game. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to make quality DLC, make quality DLC and people will buy it. And so I'm really hesitant. I had this rant fucking in the beginning of like this whole podcast, like when we first started, like I think like 4 or 5 years ago, of how DLCs for a lot of game makers are fucking bullshit. I'm only comfortable with buying DLC from buying season passes from a handful of like maybe 3 companies, and that's it. And it's basically the Borderlands series alone, and maybe 2 other ones. But Borderlands, that one, I buy it. I'll easily buy it. But other ones, season passes, I'm like, I need to see your schedule, and I need to see like how much content you're gonna put in it. With Borderlands, they've always traditionally had very good DLC. It comes out on time, and they give you free DLC as well outside of the season pass. But other game makers, they don't do that. They give you bullshit DLCs with like fucking skin packs and shit.
Real quick shout out though. Spider-Man had an incredible
I got that one
DLC
too.
schedule.
Yeah, yeah.
And every month after their September release in 2018, there was a brand new DLC that was a good 5 to 10 hours of gameplay. And then the other quick shout out, Witcher 3 had 2 DLC expansion packs that were bigger than the base fucking game, and the base game was huge.
Yeah.
So that was one of the best values I've ever heard of.
True, but I will say what Blue brought up like a few years ago was the season pass for fucking Batman Arkham Knight. Most of that, it was like a fucking $40 season pass, and 90% of that was fucking skins.
Yeah, nothing but fucking skins.
There's mostly skins.
Even like the gameplay was crap because they had Batgirl where you're basically just in one part of the city trying to save your dad, and then even I think the Harley Quinn was if you bought the game early, that was the DLC that you got. But
yeah, if you pre-ordered. So with Harley Quinn, her mission's like 15 minutes. At least Batgirl's DLC was like an hour or 2, maybe 3.
Well, even like Nightwing, Nightwing, and even I think Red Hood had one too, and they were.
That's like 10 minutes. His shit was 10 minutes.
But let me defend them a little bit. Like they had for that game, because I played it like 2 years later and bought their DLC. When you looked at the comprehensive DLC when it was done, like by 2017, 2018, whatever the fuck it was, it actually was a lot of content.
No,
yeah, I mean, when you're first getting it, when you get it, it's like it was like $40. By the time you went and got to that point in the DLC, that shit went down to $7 because that's how much I paid for that shit.
Yeah,
it gave me everything. I will say the Batman shit was cool, like the Ra's al Ghul shit, that was cool. Some of the other villains that were in there, but the rest of that shit was mostly skins and like some racetracks.
The game itself was fucking really good, but the DLCs were like, we're so not worth it.
Not for.
I mean, they were worth it. But
for $7, that was fucking a steal.
It was a lot. Y'all want to stay with the bats and talk about this Batwoman news that dropped today?
Oh yeah, I'm actually doing research on that right now. So if you've been living in a cave or under a rock, so there's a little TV series called Batwoman that dropped based off of the DC Comics about a LBGQ lesbian female, the cousin of Batman, who takes on the mantle of being Batwoman. And the CW had the show on for a season, and the actress playing her, Ruby Rose, that's right, is that her name?
Yep.
She decided to bow out, and they actually casted a new person to play her, not to play her, but to take over that mantle. It is, what's her name? Javicia?
Javicia?
Yeah, I think Javicia. Leslie. She's going to be taking on the mantle, but she's going to be playing a character called Ryan Wilder, who is going to be a female who actually has a bit of a troubled background. She used to do drug running. She's kind of lives on her own. She steals stuff. She's kind of like a little bit of a Catwoman-ish type background.
Oh, so she's not going to be Batwoman?
Huh?
She's
not going to be Batwoman.
She's not going to be?
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Stop. I couldn't hear what he said. What?
What again?
Is she going to be Batwoman?
Yeah, she's going to be Batwoman. So she's going to be placing Ruby Rose as Batwoman.
Yeah, just... Okay.
Which, I mean, if you ever watch The Mask of the Batwoman or something like that, I can't remember what it's called. There's an animated movie where there's 3 Batwomen that played Batwoman. I think that's where they got it. I was trying to find out if that was true or not, but I don't know. I'm kind of digging it. So the female, what's her name? Javicia is a black woman of color, and she's gonna be playing her, and I think it might be interesting to see how they do with her. But the one thing that's kind of like is that the character is still lesbian.
But isn't that in the lore for this character?
Well, yeah, it's in the lore for the character, but it's like, I don't know, it just seems weird.
It's in the lore. Like, I think what Blue, are you trying to say it's weird because Kate Kane, who's in the comics, is a lesbian versus this new character who apparently was created solely for the show will also be lesbian, and the actress herself apparently she said she's bi. So I guess in today's vernacular she's queer. Like personally, I don't think that matters, but whatever.
No,
So-
it doesn't matter to me either. I just think it's like, I don't know.
There's
So
an
it's like the. Oh, go ahead,
there's
Cronus.
an elephant in the room that nobody's fucking talking about.
Which is.
I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, she's the cousin of Bruce Wayne. And what the fuck? Do I have to like spell it out for everybody?
Yeah, go ahead.
A black woman is now playing the cousin of Bruce Wayne. All right, traditionally comic book. Hold on. Traditionally in comic books, she's been a Caucasian person, and it's very strange for them to think that they can replace a traditionally Caucasian character in the comic books, and in the last show you just fucking did, and replace them with somebody who's of African descent, and expect to have no blowback, and to have this show to gain not even just to gain success on a failed show. Like,
so
what- they're
that's
setting-
not what. That's not what's happening on the show.
How's it
What's
not?
happening is. So what's happening is because the writer for the show and the executive producer already said what's going to happen is Kate Kane's character is going to go missing, and this new character who, as Blue said, his name is Ryan Wilder, who has no relation to the Wayne family,
okay.
is going to take up the mantle.
That's-
So Kate will be in the lore, but she's just going to be missing because they don't want to completely write her out.
That's better, but
That's a problem with the show with Batwoman is that Batman's missing, so Batwoman has to take over his mantle while he's gone. So Batwoman goes missing, and now somebody else got to take over the mantle. It's like every time a Wayne family member go missing, somebody's got to take up the mantle. Like it's watch and repeat with this fucking show.
I mean, honestly, what you
Doesn't
said,
that shit happen in the comics though?
How
He
many times
disappears and someone else takes over as Batman.
it's kind of yes, but they have like a background with like the Bat family.
This is true.
Like
I think the only one that isn't is Azrael.
yeah, but even then, he still had no, even with Azrael, he still had like a background with the whole Batman like lore. Yeah, he didn't come out of like nowhere.
Batman recruited him to take
Yeah.
over for him. Well, it depends on what story you go by, but yeah, Batman asked him to take over, and he decided to go all crazy and start killing people.
I mean, listen.
Well, there's another.
Go ahead. You know your
I
way.
was gonna say there's another elephant in the room with this. I mean, yes, there are some Batwoman fans from season 1, but in general, most people weren't even hardcore CWDC fans weren't absolutely in love with this show. I'm looking at Blue because he was certainly one of them that was very vocal about leaving the show early on after 4 or 5 episodes, whatever the fuck it was.
3.
But the 3 episodes, fine. But the thing that I'm kind of curious about is, of that smaller subset of fans, who's staying on board for this new direction of season 2,
Yeah.
given season 1 didn't knock a whole lot of socks off, and that's putting it nice.
I mean, listen, we could be wrong. We've been wrong before. I mean, listen, famously on this podcast, we talked about how Wonder Woman was probably going to be shit. We were 100% wrong on that shit. So we could be wrong on this as well. I kind of doubt it, but it doesn't look good so far. I think they're setting up the show to continue to fail, and also for this new actress to take a lot of shit that she shouldn't have to take ever in life. And I think it's going to be sad.
I kind of think of it too, Batwoman is kind of she's pretty young in the whole, comic book world. I think she's probably been around maybe, I don't know, 20, 25 years or something like that. So she's not hardly established. But then again, like what they did with Starfire. Starfire, they made her black in the Titans, and people lost their shit with that. But then again, the show was already kind of a hit or miss. But I probably will watch it just to see how she does, because honestly, Ruby Rose, her acting was kind of dry. And that's what kind of pulled me away from the show. But with this new actress, maybe she might have a little bit more chops, and maybe they might have more action scenes and more kind of broody, action-packed fight scenes, stuff like that. That might bring me back in. But
if they bring in the
I'm gonna give
Arrow's
it
action team.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it 3 episodes, and if it still sucks, I'll give up on Batwoman.
Well, let me give
you know what?
Two,
I'll be fair. I may give it the pilot or 2. You know what I mean? And we'll see what happens. I want to be clear. I'm not shitting on this. I just think that the cards are stacked against it, because as I mentioned a whole bunch of times before, Batgirl is still way more popular than Batwoman, and I'm sure people still confuse them, but
Batgirl can be black and or mixed within the next Batman movie.
Well, let me a couple of points. I'm pretty sure that Batwoman's been around longer than 20 years. I think Matt actually said it in the chat room. Been around since the 50s and 60s.
Okay.
I'm glad that Blue brought up Harley Quinn because this is one of my hopes. It's all right. So Harley Quinn didn't exist until Batman the Animated Series. She was not in the comics. So they have an opportunity. It's a rare opportunity. It hardly ever happens where you can make something that didn't exist in the comics that can become successful and then get put into the comics. You know what I mean? Yep. That'd be fine. Another point is something that Clay brought up in the chat room is he said he's surprised that they didn't write in this character as a relative of Lucius Fox. That would be fucking awesome. That'd be a way that I think a lot of people would be more acceptable of the character.
I would like that.
Well, because also
his son is already on the show.
Batwing.
So we'll see.
The black character Batwing is Lucius Fox's son. So if he had a daughter, like I could see her being. It'll be. They should do it like how they did with the Flash, where is it Alan West? No, not Alan West. Who plays Kid Flash in the Flash?
Wally West.
Wally West. Like he's what's his name's like biological son who the mom kind of ran away with, but they can kind of play that tone with this character.
Yeah, so I mean, there's options there they could take, to appease more people, but I don't have high hopes, so we'll see.
And apparently Batwoman first appeared in 2006.
It'll be interesting.
When was it?
I said, Batwoman appeared in 2006.
That was the first appearance.
Batgirl appeared in the 50s. So
okay, so Matt has that.
So I think Kate Kane Batwoman shows up in 2006 because there's Batwoman before that, which was different. There were different women who were Batwoman. When Batwoman first came on, I think Matt was alluding to that character. She was supposed to be a love interest to Batman, and it didn't work out. And so the character's been rebooted a few times, like almost every decade since then. So
no, Kathy Kane was the original Batwoman. Yeah. And that was the debut was in July of 1956 in Detective Comics number 233. So yeah.
I'll retract my statement then.
Stitch, what's going on with your boy Yeezy?
Oh, money, baby.
Damn. Okay.
Putting you on the spot.
Supposedly, he made an announcement that he's going to run for president or whatever. And
is that even possible?
No, it's not possible. But people fucking are believing, hold on to every word he says, like when y'all message. But
technically, hold on. Technically, it is possible. It's just not possible for him to run as a Democrat or Republican right now. That part is impossible.
I'm sorry, you said it would be possible if what?
It's possible for him to run for president, but it is impossible for him to run as either a Democrat or a Republican at this point.
I don't know what the paperwork needs to.
Well, they already have their nominees, so yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know if he's filed said paperwork or whatever the fuck you need to do to officially run for president. I don't think he's done it. I don't think he knows the process or whatever.
I don't think he knows a lot of things.
So I just say it's another publicity stunt, get his name in the news, and I'm sure he'll be dropping an album in 3 weeks.
Yeah. I ran for president.
He's talking about him and Elon Musk are teamed up and blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, y'all can get worked up about this if y'all want. I'm ignoring it. A lot of intelligent people are obviously ignoring it because they're like, yo, don't waste your vote on voting for Kanye when there's real issues going on, and it's embarrassing that he's using this time to take attention away from the real issues going on in the process. And I think that's more of an issue going on right now.
It's also embarrassing that he said
I'm-
that people that were in slavery chose slavery. That's embarrassing.
Yeah, I'm not defending him. I mean, like I said, this is not the time to be doing publicity stunts, and especially on matters of this issue and everything.
I got a question real quick. Is this Kanye's way of saying that he's dropping a new album in November?
Probably.
Yeah.
That's,
Well, honestly,
Probably.
this is the sad thing. I'm gonna keep it 100% right now. This is the sad thing. So honestly, I have a lot of problems with Kanye West. Obviously, I just gave a quote that he said that was totally bullshit about voluntary slavery. Obviously, he doesn't understand. It was at the time when he said it. He doesn't understand how the fuck slavery worked. But given the two candidates that we have, I would feel better about voting for Kanye West than I would than voting for President Trump or Joe Biden. That's me being 100% honest. I'd be more comfortable with voting for him. I'm going to write in Andrew Yang, but I would feel more comfortable voting for him. That's just me. Because the other two guys, they don't know what the fuck. They don't understand shit, and they've been career politicians, and it's nonsense. I like Kanye West's music, but as far as like what he stands for as a person, I don't like hardly any of it. But he's done less harm to people that look like me than the other two guys. There's no refuting that.
Kanye West too is also from Chicago, which is like murder capital of the world right now.
Not the world. No, don't say that. That's
not even close.
Yeah, it's not even close. Yeah.
Can I?
Yeah, it's not even. No.
Yeah,
Bro,
we're not gonna go down the Chicago rabbit hole because the truth is actually they've actually seen a decrease in violent crime, and nobody ever gives them any credit whatsoever when that happens. Like over the last 3 years, the dramatic decrease. But please continue.
Well, no, just Kanye he's from an area of trouble, like a troubled city, so maybe he can make some kind of changes. But then again, it's more like,
It's more like Trump is from New York City, and New York City was literally the beginning epicenter of this entire pandemic outbreak. So, I mean, there's no real connection between, like, where you're from and being able to control or being qualified to handle a fucking job.
Well, I
mean, Trump came from money, so those are bad news. So,
honestly, though, I mean, listen, Kim Kardashian, one of the good things that she did do, Mrs. West, no, is that she actually went to the president for prison reform. Which I mean, that's good. I'm not gonna. I shit on Trump all the time, but there's some good things that he has done. She's gotten people out of jail, which is good. There's a whole lot more that needs to be done, but I'm not gonna discount what she did because I don't like other things that she did. Like if somebody does something good, we can say that they did something good, but they do fucked up shit too. So.
Totally fair. Kanye is an idiot and a clown. This is not serious whatsoever. I don't even like having the discussion because it's so laughable.
Yeah.
This is mid-July we're in, basically. The election is early November. This is him on a whim doing another, as Stitch mentioned, another publicity stunt, whatever. But because he is so rich, so famous, such a powerful celebrity, people will listen and people will entertain his foolishness.
Actually,
this is madness.
I gotta retract what I said. Oh, sorry. I gotta retract what I said. 'Cause I just remembered something just now. So I would not vote for Kanye West because he was on the list of people that took money from the PPP that was supposed to be used for small businesses, and he received a sizable amount of money from PPP that his company did not deserve. I think that to me, honestly, that all that money that went into the PPP and all that other bullshit should have went to the people. It should have went to us instead of any kind of corporation or small business. Because anybody that's a small business could have used that money as well. And the people that were already getting laid off, the money that went into PPP, the vast majority of that money didn't go to the people. Like they used it to keep the business afloat, and they laid off people. That's logically what you would do because you want to keep your business afloat. If they would have just given that fucking money to the people in multiple cash payments, our economy wouldn't have done so bad. But they didn't. They wanted to give it to corporations, and some of them very large corporations, and it's fucking
Right.
bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're also ignoring the big pink elephant in the room. Kanye was a MAGA hat supporting nut job for a long time, including earlier this year. I mean,
He's
you know,
he's literally all over the
I
place.
can't take him seriously.
He's literally all over the place. And like I've said plenty of times, I don't really listen or hold much weight with what he says publicly. I mean, but like you said before, he was wearing the MAGA hat or whatever. And then we also saw, I mean, we can go tit for tat with good shit that he's done, bad shit that he's done. He donated, what, $3 million to George Floyd's daughter?
Which is
and,
great. Which is
and
great.
until like pay for her college and everything in the future, which is a great thing. But he does stupid shit as well. So I mean, the people like him should not be considered or should not even be getting airtime when they say that I'm going to run for president. It's like when that porn star Macy May or whatever the fuck was trying to say she was running for governor. Fucking Joe Exotic we saw ran for governor in Oklahoma or whatever. So I mean, it is what it is. I'm not worked up or caring about that.
Who's the wrestler that ran for mayor or governor of Florida? Not
Kane?
Jason Matt.
Jesse the Body was the Minnesota governor.
That's what it was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
he
was.
ran for governor for that. Yeah.
Well, he was the governor.
Yeah, he was. He won. So
Yeah, but he was also wasn't he a Marine stuff? Yeah.
he was in Predator.
he was a wrestler. Bro. He was a
He
professional
was in
wrestler.
Predator. I know that.
I know he has military background in like real life, from what I remember.
Actually, I think it was a Navy SEAL, if I'm not mistaken. I think he
Oh,
was.
okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
What's going on with the female Epstein and when is she gonna die?
Oh wait! Before we go on that, I do want to before I forget, I want to bring up something I meant to bring up last week about the death of was it Vanessa Gillian?
Oh yeah.
Is that the yes?
Yeah.
That's something I kind of wanted to bring up last week, but it totally slipped my mind and stuff.
Okay.
We were fast on getting on.
We wanted to take who is she?
It's hard for me to check my notes because most of my notes are on the phone and stuff, so I'm not sitting in front of a computer, so I can't pull it up to read the timeline of events and everything like that. So if one of you guys could pull up the timeline on everything. I know she was a private in the Army, if I remember correctly, that went missing from Fort Hood sometime in April. I believe it was around like April 20th or April 22nd. Just sort of vanished and disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't really get a lot of play or notoriety at the time, and people were just like, "Yo, why aren't you talking about this missing female?" Who it was when it was further looked into, it reported some of her supervisors for sexual harassment and things of that nature, and eventually the voices got louder and louder as we started to deal with more incidents going around in the country with stuff. And then eventually they found her body, which apparently was bludgeoned and then attempted to be cut up and chopped up into pieces by, I guess, another member of the military and his girlfriend and stuff. And everyone's just like, yo, how did this fucking happen? How did a murder happen on your Army base?
Oh shit! What happened? I think we just lost Stitch.
Did we lose him? He dropped.
There we go. He's back now.
Keep going.
Sorry, Stitch, you gotta
Okay.
start over from the Army base part.
Wait, now he's gone. Something happened to Stitch.
Oh, everyone trying to shut him up.
Well, we lost his Stitch. Oh, there we go. All right. Yeah.
Army's trying to shut me down. But a lot of people are asking about why this is even taking place on an Army base, why they can't seem to get their shit together, why there apparently seems to be some sort of mass cover-up, and why is it that people aren't talking or giving a shit about this dead soldier. And it eventually turned out that they found her body, I believe it was like last week officially, and they arrested one of the people for it. The soldier who was also connected with it. Once it turned out they found her body, ended up killing himself, presumably because I guess he didn't want to face the consequences for what he potentially did. Sorry. But I do want to bring that up because I've seen a lot of people on my timeline posting their photos, talking about saying like I am Vanessa Gillian. Is that, yeah, I'm pronouncing it right. And trying to bring attention to that issue, and I want to make sure that we did discuss it and see that we do see that this is a problem, and it's brought up a lot of interesting conversations. Did females in the armed forces in terms of like harassment, but I don't know anything about that world, so I can't comment one way or the other.
It's all good. I do. So I guess I'll talk about it. So yeah, when I was in the Marine Corps, we didn't see, at least I did not see a lot of sexual harassment. It likely did happen. I'm not going to say it didn't happen. It just didn't happen to directly in front of me. Marines are usually like a pretty tight-knit group, and don't get me wrong, there were still disparaging things that Marines would say about female Marines, like male Marines would say about female Marines. We'd call them WMs, which are women Marines, and they would say we call them walking mattresses, which is fucked up. I never said some shit like that because it's fucking bullshit. So that part of sexism was in the Marine Corps, but I did not see people sexually assaulting or a history of sexually assaulting people like other Marines. Like I didn't see it, and it was not the culture of the unit that I was in. There was a drug culture in the fucking unit that I was in, so I'm not saying we're fucking saints. That's a whole other story that I could talk about, a whole different podcast, because that shit was fucking crazy. But what I will say is when I became a contractor for the military, I went to mostly army bases. And the first time I went to an army base in Iraq, there were all these signs around telling women that were women in general that were on that base to, basically walk around with other people at night. Don't be alone because there's been sexual assaults and rapes on this base. And I was just like, I was like, what the fuck is happening right now? Like this is on a U.S. military base where you should feel safe, and you're putting up signs to where you're basically acknowledging they have a culture of this shit happening, and this is your solution is just fucking put up signs. I was like, what the fuck? And there's been like females that I worked with as a contractor where like, because I worked swing shifts and like odd hours, and there's a woman that I worked with, I'm not gonna say her name, but we would go out and eat together because it would make her feel more safe. And it's just like, dude, what the fuck? Like this is the climate that we're living in Iraq, is that you need to come around with a person, a male that you feel you're safe with, to go and eat at night. So it's been a problem with parts of the military for a while, and I think that people just kind of covered it up. And yeah, I mean it's the same thing with the whole don't ask, don't tell thing. People were assaulted for coming out in the military, and the fact that for a long time the military had this policy of don't ask, don't tell. But if somebody figured out that you did happen to be gay, that they could assault you and your unit would not have your back. That was fucking bullshit. To me, I never cared about somebody's sexuality. As long as you got my back, I don't really give a shit. Who you're fucking at home, what's it got to do with me? Like the only time where it became the only time where it became like a kind of a gray area with me is when it came to transgender people. Only when it comes to hormone therapy, because any other person in the military cannot take steroids or any other kind of most kinds of hormones if you're in the military. You know what I mean? So if you're on steroids, that's illegal in the military. But if you're transgender in the military, that becomes like a real gray area if you're transitioning. Whether or not you can take steroids or not. And to me, that becomes you're getting a different sort of treatment than other people in the military. From that point alone, that's where I'm like, hey, we're not on the same playing field here. And that is a problem. So, and I understand that people that are transgender, they might think that what I just said might be transphobic. Listen, it's not. It has nothing to do with transphobia. It has to do with even playing fields with what we can take into our bodies to perform better.
Seems fair.
Yeah, and that comes from somebody that was like an amateur bodybuilder. I didn't take steroids, but there was definitely a lot of shit that I could have taken, and if that shit I did take, that was definitely performance enhancing. You know, I didn't do it when I was in the Marine Corps, and it was nothing that was illegal. But if a man can't take steroids in the military, then why can't a female that's transitioning?
Yeah. Thanks.
Like,
You know, since you brought that up, whatever happened with the whole? Because Trump, for some random ass reason, brought up the whole transgenders in the military, and was he like cutting funds or something for them? You remember that? Like that's like maybe 2 years ago.
yeah, well, it's
What
like
happened with that?
yeah, well, it's one of the things where I don't. It's what he's talking about is like right on the line of like where I'm comfortable talking about it or not. And when it comes to where should the military, which is basically the taxpayers, pay for somebody transitioning to go from male to female or female to male, and that becomes
No, there was people who had already transitioned, but they were like stripping them of their title.
oh yeah. I mean, if they already transitioned and shit like that, like, and it was he was trying to roll back shit back in the day, and if it was already law, then don't roll it back. If it was already the policy for those military units and military in general to do that, then don't roll it back. You can't do that.
You taking it back though to Vanessa. Holy fuck! This is a tragedy. I want justice for her and her family. You should feel safe you should feel safe anywhere, but you should certainly feel safe on a military base with your fellow military personnel. What in the entire fuck went on here?
It seems to be covered up.
They need to answer to this. And if I'm not saying it was, but if after an investigation they confirm that this had to do in any way as being part of retaliation for her blowing the whistle on sexual assault or sexual harassment or of any kind, then that's even worse.
Yep.
So this ain't a good look at all.
No, it's horrific to think that somebody in any military branch was likely being abused, and it was covered up, and then she got murdered. Like, heads are gonna roll. I mean, there's
good.
I'm fairly certain that there's been conversations with whoever the general is for that unit, likely stepping down, or just getting totally kicked out, and it's just gonna roll downhill. It's gonna hit multiple levels, and they all deserve it. I mean, honestly, sometimes it's hard to say, if the top guy didn't know about it, but it's like, listen, if the top guy didn't know about it, why wasn't he informed about what's going on in his unit? You know what I mean? So accountability, it really matters. So at that point, I have no problem with the top guy being, removed, because he was either complicit in the action or he heard about it. That complicity, I doubt that he didn't hear about it. He or she, because generals are women now, but I doubt that the person didn't hear about it.
Nobody should be boo-hooing about a general's boss or military career if there's a soldier that's been killed and murdered. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't equate those two. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Someone needs to be held accountable for murder.
Missing for like 2 months on top of that.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like, oh, she's gone for a couple hours. I mean, I don't understand the whole, everything that goes into like, all right, there's somebody missing from like our enlisted duty. I don't understand the process in terms of like figuring out what happened, if they need to be back, or where they might be if someone went AWOL or whatever. But 2 months is a long time especially for like where nobody has seen this person or have any idea where she might be, and there's foul play possibly suspected. It's a long fucking time, and it seems like it was not taken as a top priority by the people at Fort Hood.
Yeah, especially like, where was she found? I didn't know where she was found. Was she found?
She was found in like a nearby. They did a bunch of stuff with like ping cell phones and everything, and then I guess some warehouse where the two suspects were together at the time. I guess potentially with her, and then I guess that's where they end up chopping her up. And then, from what I understood, they found her like sort of like a barrel or like a storage container thing, all chopped up, and it was bad. It was like some Dexter type shit.
Yeah. So listen, I've had guys go, AWOL. What the fuck do we call it? We call it something different than Marine Corps. It wasn't AWOL, it was something else. Which is weird, because, when I was growing up, I was like, they call it AWOL, but in the Marine Corps, we didn't call it AWOL. Anyway, neither here nor there. But there should have been an immediate investigation the first day that the person was gone. So I was there when people were AWOL. It's fucking bothering me now what the fuck they call it. But yeah, when somebody was gone, there was like an immediate investigation. You know what I mean? Like, where the fuck is this person? You call the family. And it seemed like, to me, from what I've read from the story so far, is that the family contacted the military. Or like,
Damn.
Where the fuck's she at? I'm just like, that should not be how this works. Like, there's definite steps they take in the military to figure out where the fuck somebody is. And it usually starts with the family, especially if the family's close.
Look, even with my civilian ass job, if I don't show up for 2 fucking months, someone's gonna call. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's not too hard to ask. But I'm sorry, I'm gonna stay on this kind of topic just a little bit. Unfortunately, we got some more shitty ass fucking news. Y'all heard about Evo Online getting canceled and why, right?
I did not, actually.
No.
I heard about this yesterday.
I briefly saw it today because I heard that they were going to do like a virtual competition. And then like days later, I heard it got canceled. And I was like, what the fuck's going on?
So, fighting game community had a real bad week last week. Evo was going to go online due to COVID. Evo, obviously, the big World Series of fighting games with Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter and all of that. It was going to go online this year because of COVID. Bruh, their CEO, a one Mr. Joey, Mr. Wizard Color, Acular, I don't know how you pronounce it. This motherfucker has all kinds of basically victims coming forward talking about his sexual abuse and exploits that also include underage kiddos.
Ooh, that's a bad look.
Yeah.
That's a good business opportunity, though.
And then there was some separate shit going still in the fighting game community where a whole bunch of predatory stuff was going on with fighting game kids in Smash as well. I mean, Evo got canceled immediately. They removed this guy, replaced him with somebody else, and then one by one, Sonic Fox, Mortal Kombat, Smash, Street Fighter, all of those big names said, we don't want any fucking part of this. If you got predatory shit that's possibly been going on for years with underage kids happening at your big ass tournament. This was a huge, ugly ass scandal.
God damn, that's horrible.
Yeah, I didn't know about that. That's
That is terrible. It's fucked up because this is a huge event. People from around the world come to this event, and the event is held in Vegas, Party City, right? Party City, USA, depending on which college you're in. But yeah, this is super terrible news.
Yeah, the thing that's really ugly. Obviously, fighting games, pretty much everybody can play. You know what I mean? And you have a lot of young, minors that enter these tournaments, and some of them do really well. 17-year-old, 16-year-old, or whatever. But of course, they shouldn't be at parties with adults and booze and being preyed upon. That's all fucking foul. And yeah, and if you have the CEO for Evo doing this shit, then holy fuck, man. And I'm glad people came forward.
This is like Epstein for the gaming industry. That's fucking
crazy.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say that.
What the fuck?
Kelly.
Dude.
Damn. Actually, I thought Gamergate was pretty bad. This sounds way worse.
Yeah. So
Well, Gamergate wasn't even that. I mean,
yeah, it wasn't.
It was possibly consenting adults. So yeah, this is not consenting adults.
Hollywood certainly had it, some of its reckoning with Weinstein and all that, but gaming in general, and certainly the fighting game community, had, to me and to a lot of people, the most, I guess, toxic subculture, at least around in and around Evo, that you could ever imagine. So hide your wife, hide your kids.
Dude, so you literally got this hide your wife, hide your kids, and everywhere you go, because kids can't go to school without teachers trying to fuck them. They can't play video games without other people trying to fuck them.
Yeah.
They can't walk outside without the fucking milk, the ice cream man trying to fuck them. Like shit, dude, people are fucking gross.
Just to be clear too, there's a
Terrible.
whole bunch of allegations. Some of them are with kids, some of them are adult on adult. All of it is bad, no matter what. But holy fuck, man! Just keep your hands and your dick to yourself.
So what were you saying about Epstein's? Okay, because that's what you were about to go into before.
Oh yeah.
Back to the
Stitch just keeps us on track. This Ghislaine Maxwell is basically the madam of Jeffrey Epstein, and she's been arrested and is on suicide watch and hopefully doesn't kill herself.
By somebody else.
I was like, you mean before someone gets to her?
Hopefully, it
I was
doesn't,
gonna
she
say
doesn't
before
shoot
they find
herself
her
with
hanging in her cell with a rope.
It's gonna be a sniper rifle bullet that she's gonna put in her own skull.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, she should be very knowledgeable about all the people that she helped get to Epstein and get to his powerful ass fucking friends. I hope she lives long enough to tell that fucking story.
This is what's crazy about
holy
America
shit.
right now. This is what's crazy about America right now. Is that I'm pretty sure every single person, at least on this podcast, expects this person to die in the next couple of days. What does that tell you about America right now?
That's bad.
Like how corrupt America is, that we expect a person that has information on powerful people to die in the next couple of days because she has that information. And it's going to be totally covered up. Just like Jeffrey Epstein, a guy that happened to beat and hang himself in his cell when the cameras were turned off and people were changing shifts for an extra 30 minutes when he was on suicide watch.
Yeah. India.
Yeah. Are we serious? Like, there needs to be a reckoning in America. And I feel like people don't understand the real issues that are going on in America, and they're just like, and the funny thing is that those same people will call us sheep for wearing masks, but it's like, you're sheep for eating this shit up like it's normal. This is not fucking normal. Shit like this is not normal. Especially, let's just totally forget about the fact that Anonymous a couple of weeks ago released all this information about how possibly, I can't say for certain, possibly our president is a pedophile. Yeah. And not one single mainstream media picked it up. Not even CNN. They fucking can't stand Trump. They didn't pick it up. Like, what the fuck? And it's like really fucked up shit. Like real vile looking shit. And they look like official court documents. To me anyway. I'm a fucking moron. Yeah. But I can still read shit. It looked like I've been to court before. It looks like real court documents to me. It's all bad. And I feel like America's coming to a breaking point. And it's coming soon. Like, we're already here. Like, the cracks are already here. People are still protesting. People are still angry. People are still out of work. And I think that whoever the fuck is shadow trying to organize this country has, like, fucked up. And they don't realize that people are at a breaking point. So...
that seems
I'm not going to
obvious.
commit suicide tomorrow. Okay? Let me just say that out loud.
Dude. And here's the thing. We all want to know and have the people punished who've been basically kidnapping underage girls. Like, that's disgusting, disturbing ass shit. Like, you need to get fucking prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. And if you have information on these dirty motherfuckers, I want you to live long enough to be able to help with giving that evidence up. Like,
or if you were a victim, come out and say, like, this shit happened, but nobody's gonna fucking believe them like they never fucking do, which is kind of sad. Somebody needs to make a documentary called "Trapped in the Closet" by Trump for shit to fucking
Damn.
Well, did any of you guys watch that Epstein documentary on Netflix?
I didn't see it. Was it good?
No, I did not want to be upset. I try not to watch things that will make me just angrily mad or whatever. So I was like, I'm going to avoid that because there's there's no positive end from watching that documentary where I'll feel good about myself or not wanting to just put on a mask and go in the street and start doing some vigilante shit.
Well, this is what I'm glad you brought shit like that up. I'm gonna do a slight segue here. Is that what you said is like I'm grappling with that right now because of all like the recent literature that I've been like reading and listening to. Like it is so hard as an African American man here in America. Obviously, I'm African American here in America, but to not get like viscerally angry after learning like real history and how we've been like systematically fucked over by America through legislation and through organizations not even adhering to the Constitution to make money, to fuck people over, and to have, the police fuck us over consistently. And it's just like, I can see why we had people like Malcolm X, Louis Farrakhan, Black Panthers, shit like that. Like, I understand that whole point of view now. Because once you start going deep in that rabbit hole, like, it's hard to stop digging, and it's hard not to get angry. Listen, I'm not angry enough to, like, go out and, like, hurt somebody. Let me just say that right away. Okay, because
you be choking people every day.
Well, I did, and now I don't have that option, all right? Because it's the fucking Rona.
You have an outlet now, so now you gotta focus on something.
Yeah, I don't have an outlet, so I get the Peloton bike. I ride that shit, like fucking daily. But it is it's real difficult for people to like to go through all this stuff and like read through all these things and not get angry. And I think once enough people really go through all this stuff, honestly I think a lot of people that are doing like the whole Black Lives Matter movement thing, I don't think they really, most of them understand from a factual level and from mostly a factual level, just like education. They don't understand the whole story. If they did, this could likely get even worse.
Yeah.
And I think that most of America should be happy that, that African Americans are not out for revenge, that we're only out for equal rights. Because honestly, once you go through the entire history of things, it's fucking horrific.
The laundry list is long.
Yeah, and it's so long, it's so horrific that people cannot even stand to even read it. Like, there's a book, I think it's called, it's the, I can't remember what the fuck it was called, but there's a graphic book. I'm not gonna buy it because first of all, it costs like $400 fucking. Ooh. But it is a book. It's a pictorial book that is a visual history of what happened to African Americans getting lynched and what European Americans did to us during certain times. And like they had things where like literally they would hang somebody that was black, then they would barbecue them, and they would cut pieces off of them, and they would take pictures of pieces of meat that were them. It was a person. And they would take photographs, and these photographs are in the book. I think, I'm talking, but if somebody else talks, I'll tell you the name of the book. And it's
just to kind of piggyback on what Cronus was saying, like, a lot of times, like, I don't like watching, like, period pieces, like, especially, like 12 Years a Slave, or, like, any kind of slave movies. I hate watching it just because I have, like, this hatred that just builds up inside of me, and I hate that feeling, so I try not to watch those kind of documentaries because the anger that I feel is like it's something I don't like. Even when when I hang out with Swedish and she wants to watch like a certain kind of periodic piece, I'm like I can't do it just because like black people life didn't fucking matter during that time. Like Civil War, World War I, World War II, like nobody really cared about people of color, and it's really hard to watch that stuff and to she showed me. It's funny because she showed me the video earlier of this white guy he's playing the role of a kid, and he's like arguing with his parents. I'm like, and she's laughing about it. I'm like, this isn't funny at all, because if that was me being a black kid, my mom would have been in my ass like that. Like there would have been no fucking cursing, no yelling or anything. She'd have been in my fucking ass, and it wasn't funny to me whatsoever. And it just shows like how different cultures are. Like you might grow up one way and another way, and things are just not the fucking same, basically.
Yeah, like stories like that. Even because I know that these things happen, and it's a painful reminder. So when I watch movies and stuff, I kind of like to watch movies and stuff to be entertained or to learn something I don't know anything about. But when like I watch movies like A Time to Kill or like Mississippi Burning and stuff, it's like I know that this happened, and it's a reminder of how painful and fucked up this is. I think I brought it up before. Like the last time I really felt like that was when I watched Fruitvale Station, and I remember I watched two movies that day. It was one of the extra movies I watched later on, but me and Lilo watched Fruitvale Station, and I knew about Fruitvale Station. It was before Lilo had even moved out here. Didn't even know what BART was, anything like that. So she was watching it, and like I cried at the end. Like I was in tears because like I know all about that. That's my backyard. That's where I grew up and everything like that. And I was just like, I just don't even want to go see X-Men right now. I'm just so mad. I'm so like hurt and disappointed. And she didn't have the same reaction because, and it's hard for me to like put her feelings into it on what she felt when she was watching it. But it just hit me harder because like I know everywhere that they're talking about. I know that story, especially how they like cut in pieces of the actual like footage of the incident. It was just jarring to me, and I was just like, I don't want to spend my money to feel this way. And I was just like, I had to just remove myself from it. And it's not like me trying to put blinders on stuff, because believe me, we all know fucked up shit that has happened to Black people, including us. So it's not like I'm trying to ignore or pretend like none of this happened, but it's like I can only take so much of it, and it's in certain doses of that spoonful of like castor oil that I can take before I'm just like, it's gonna ruin my entire day, week, month.
So
yeah, I think that's kind of messed up that movies and films that we know deal with this type of subject matter, which is Black history, we literally have to prep ourselves for what we're going to be watching. Like everyone else is like, oh, I heard this film's really good, but then we have to do these like little mental setups like, if I'm watching this with European Americans or Caucasians, I have to make sure I check myself and not try to slap somebody by the end of the film. Or some other shit where like, okay, this is one of those films that could break me down where I gotta call my mom or something after, if there's something that is going to be in this film that could potentially trigger you into really deep sadness or even depression. So you have to prep. And like sometimes you can't tell nobody else around you that this is going to happen to you emotionally. And you just got to, pick and choose what movies you want to watch sometimes.
Old Ninja, I know you won't call your sister because she'll try to gut somebody.
Oh yeah, no. So that's all bad.
One quick thing, like the best period piece that, or part, like, not period piece, but from
Django.
The scene. Django. No, not Django. Django was still racist as hell. But because basically Django had a white guy who set him free, and that's what caused him to be free. A white guy let him be free. So
true, but he gave him a job where he get to kill white people and get paid for it.
Yeah, but he's being paid from a white guy, so he's still not.
No, he's being paid by the U.S. government.
Anyway, so my favorite scene is that part from American Gods with
Anansi.
Dempsey.
Anansi.
We gotta go like get angry get shit fucking done.
Yeah.
Like that was like probably like the best like speech to get people motivated to do shit.
Yeah,
it was fucking great.
The book I was talking about, it's called Without Sanctuary. It's by Leon Litwick. And yeah, it's I haven't bought the book. I heard about it and I heard about the depictions, and I mean just on the cover, it's somebody who's a black man, probably a boy because it looks not that big. He's hung on the cover, and there's white people like just looking at him, and there's like a kid at the bottom who's smiling.
Shit.
A little girl that's smiling, and it's
just
like
terrible.
This shit fucking breaks my heart just even looking at the fucking image.
Yeah, you know what's crazy is that when people talk about Black Power, all right, a lot of European, Caucasians, white people, what the fuck you want to say about whatever you want to call them, they get uncomfortable about listening to Black Power, listening about just hearing the word Black Power. And I think I understand the reason why it is now is because when people that are on that side hear Black Power, they assume that we're going to do what they did to us for 400 fucking years. When nothing can be farther, for most of us, nothing can be farther from the truth. Like, most of us don't want to go out there and rape your women. They don't want to hang you. They don't want to fucking do any kind of vile shit like that. All we want is power as in the form of economic and opportunity power, for the most part. There's probably other powers you can put down the line. Okay?
Yep.
But what we want is real equality here in America, and I think that most people, they don't seem to understand that because they equate that word, ethnic power to what they've done to us for years, and that makes them real uncomfortable. Just think about that. Just saying that makes them uncomfortable. Think about what it would be like if you actually went through it and you lived through it. You know what I mean? And you're still affected by it today. I'll give you an example. All right. Me and K-Mac, obviously she's a European American, and we grew up in the same city. Okay. This is something that we talked about just recently. When my parents grew up, they couldn't buy a home here in the Bay Area. Neither one of them could. It was impossible because of redlining and other bullshit. So they had to rent everywhere, and it was only rent in certain areas. Okay? Because of that, most people's largest asset in America, what do you think it is?
Their house.
It's their house. Okay? And so you can borrow against your house, you can pull out your equity, you can use that equity to help your kids out if they get into a problem. If you happen to pass away or something else happens, you can use your house as an asset to pull out money, which is equity, which I already kind of went over.
The giant pig bank.
Yeah, it's what people needed. That's like the largest thing that they had to gain money, because it always traditionally would gain money over time. That's how equity works. We don't know how that works. Back in the day, my parents' generation, our parents' generation, except for Old Ninja, because his parents' generation, I don't know, they might have been. He's old as fuck, so I don't know.
Flintstones.
Yeah, but anyway, with K-Mac's parents, they've owned their home in Newark since almost the entire time she's been alive, and they built equity, and they've had to take out. I'm not gonna put all the business out there, but they've had to take out mortgages, multiple mortgages against the house to extract money for different reasons. My parents didn't have that option at all. Okay, they've owned a house. As far as I know, they've owned 2 homes in their entire lifetime. One they sold, and the other one they're living somewhere else because of an unfortunate situation that has nothing to do with redlining. All right, it's something to do with a whole other matter. But up until fucking 2008, 2007, they didn't own a home, so they had nothing to build wealth upon, and they had to keep putting in money through rent that they never gained equity on. Meanwhile, Caucasian families could, because they could buy homes anywhere they wanted to, except for already segregated areas, which conveniently the black homes that were segregated they couldn't buy, but they were already in shitty areas they weren't going to move into anyway. So that's neither here nor there.
Most of them owned it, and they were charging the black folks rent, so that's how they were getting money.
Yeah, and also in these shitty areas they were making people pay more money. So it's fucking bullshit all around. And so that's what I think people don't really understand is like, if you're wondering why, African Americans are in a bad spot, part of it a large portion has to go to how much wealth our families could accumulate. And part of it a large portion of it has to do with real estate. And the fact that we couldn't own real estate except for in shitty areas, and those real estate prices were kept purposely low, and we paid higher taxes on those fucking shitty areas. Thank you, Prodigy, for introducing me to the book Color of Law, because it breaks down exactly how the fuck this happens. If you want to speak on this, go ahead and do so now. But it was a fantastic book breaking down how we got fucked on this?
No, I think you covered the highlights extremely well. It's been like maybe a year and a half since I read it. I'm so proud that you're reading it. I'm proud of everybody on this show. I know Blue's been reading the new Jim Crow as well. These are important things. You know, we had the discussion with my mom about me and Stitch on some Black history. It's important, and I love the fact that this show has the ability to go into weeb shit and then go into real life stuff. But you covered the redlining extremely well. I just appreciate the fact that it's a hyper local story too, because he's obviously a Berkeley professor, and he talks about places, you know, Castro Valley, San Leandro, Berkeley, you know, and even if you were a Black doctor, lawyer, nurse, professional, you were still Black. So you know what I mean? So
well, you know what's crazy? Hold on. Before I even read the book, I knew about redlining, all right?
Yeah.
And I actually looked up redlining in my old city that I lived in with a podcast. No, it wasn't when I first started, but we did a podcast for like 2 years from there in San Leandro. And like seeing the actual, the real red line in that city. And I looked up, holy shit, in fucking Oakland and fucking Hayward and all these other places here in the Bay Area, you can actually look up the actual, there's a map.
Yep.
And where the map is, there's like the only places where we could live in the Bay Area were in these places. And the crazy thing is, it's not crazy. It's logical if you're a fucking racist asshole, is where they put these homes. And they're like in the middle of industrial areas, near the fucking train tracks, on the other side, you know, and like all this fucked up bullshit. And they would have like dumping zones and all this other fucking fucked up shit.
Super funds.
Yeah.
Superfund sites left over from the military waste.
Yeah, and no, there's no parks anywhere near there. There's no grocery stores. There's food deserts. They're all this shit, and there's fucked up schools because that's how they built them, because they're segregated schools, and they wonder why African Americans have a problem today with being successful. It's because you started us off in fucked up places where we couldn't be successful. Like, you couldn't even eat right. Like, I mean, what the fuck? How do you expect somebody...
Even here in Hayward, like, the Swedish and I just bought a house out here in Hayward, and one of our neighbors, she pointed out that where we live at now was mainly a white community. Like, the fact that her and I are an interracial couple, she was, like, excited about it. She hasn't lived here this whole time, but she had brought it up. But, like, only whites were able to live in the area that we live in, because like me, I'm like maybe a 10-minute walk to a park. I got 2 parks. I probably got like maybe 4 or 5 parks near me. Yeah. I'm close to the freeway. I got 2 bar stations near me. Like, everything is so close and local, and it's just shocking that, you know, this area would be like a red line area, and now we have the opportunity to move to this area.
Well, you can actually there's real world. To this day, if you own your home and you pull up your deed and you live in a white area, you can actually look there's if you read your entire deed, there's a high chance that you live in a white neighborhood that there is racist language in a form of a convent on your deed where it says that you will not sell this home to somebody of color. Yeah. And there's a high chance of that to this day.
Yep. And it's extremely important.
And you probably don't even know what's there.
Important to bring up.
Yeah, most people probably have no idea it's there.
Yeah. Actually, I brought this up to Prodigy about a year or so ago. That's when he recommended The Color of Law, because it made it into the papers where some lady in Redwood City, she was trying to sell her home, but within the deed and some of the, like, I guess laws or whatever, they're in the deed where it says you cannot sell to a person of color. It literally says Chinaman, and I think it says Hispanic or Mexican. I don't think it says Hispanic. I think it says Mexican, and it lists the only way that they can live on the property is if they lived in, like, the back home or, like, the indentured servant thing. It's, like, language from, like, the early 1900s. But, like, this lady who was trying to sell the house, she had to go to court to remove the language from her deed so that way she could sell the house to whoever the fuck she wanted. So it was just, and it was weird because it was I think it was, like, early 2019 that I brought this up, and, like, Literally, Prodigy, he didn't even answer. He just said, "Oh, the color of law." And I was like, "What?" And then I would ask him, he print again, the color of law. I'm like, "What the fuck?" He's like, "You need to read this." I'm like, "Okay, fine."
For real, I mean,
I
listen,
probably did say that too.
No, there's no probably. You did do that.
Prodigy was right. Read the fucking book. I mean, seriously, goddamn. And the thing I like about this book, so I talked about the new Jim Crow and white fragility. So the new Jim Crow, it's an excellent book. However, it's not even a critique. It's something that she says in the very beginning. Is that she writes the book and she's going to give no solutions to the problem. She's only going to illuminate the problem. But to me, that's still, it's like, no solutions. It's great to be illuminated, but there's no solutions to the problem that she puts in the book. But I totally get it. She tells you right up front. White fragility is similar. Yeah, it gives some solutions mainly for white people. All right, but in Color of Law, in the end of the book, he gives actual valid solutions, or at least one valid solution. And it is a really good one, and it's something that, listen, if I happen to run for president someday, I'm using that fucking guy. I'm gonna call him out by name. Like, this is your fucking deal. This is a really good idea. This is how we can move forward. And to me, it's like, it's based on data, and it's a really good way, because we need to desegregate America. Listen, America is more segregated today than it was in the 1960s.
Yep.
And most people don't even understand that.
Like, even with our government, like, that needs to be segregated too, because, like in the white fidelity, they talk about how, like, 98% of Congress is Caucasian.
Yeah.
The government, 92% is like Caucasian. Like, there's no representation. There's no presentation of, like, the actual country. Like, most of the people who run the laws are Caucasian, and they have the ability to change fucking lives off forever. They can be like, oh, you know what? White people, you can't work anymore.
Well, and that's one of the reasons. I mean, that's one of the reasons why we need to have term limits. Is because a lot of people that are in Congress, the Senate, the House, they're old as fuck, and they were alive during, like, the 50s, 60s, 70s, blah blah blah. But they need to be. They have old ass ideas. Like, they're for their formative years, they lived through a segregationist society. So that's their status quo. Why the fuck would they possibly change that? Because that's the way they lived, and they lived just fine. If you're a white back then, yeah, you lived just fine.
Yep.
But if you were not white, but what's crazy is that you have a guy like Ben Carson, that's the head of HUD, the Housing Urban Development, who I don't have very many positive words to say for this man. And we share the same skin tone. He's darker than me, but we share the same skin tone. And he's rolling back plans on like policies for public housing and all these other various projects that would advance integration of our different ethnic groups, and just like having funding to pay for public housing. And it's a huge problem because it really affects people of color more than Caucasian Americans, and I don't understand why he's even doing it. I don't understand his whole deal, because when I see him go up to, like, the House or Congress and the Senate and talk, he is so flippant with his answers. Are you drinking tea right now? That's hilarious.
It's water in there.
Oh, okay. It's just like he's so flippant in his answers. He doesn't really give a shit. Listen, we have a guy who is a brilliant doctor, but he's running the housing and urban development. He has no fucking background in doing this.
None.
And I don't understand why he's even doing it. The fact that he's doing the status quo with the agenda from the Trump administration on defunding a lot of HUD is fucking disgusting. And we're literally going back to, like, the 1960s and before with the rules and policies that they're trying to go back to, and And he's from a guy who says that he lived in public housing. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Like,
He's
there
the
was
worst. He really is. I've been cut off mentally from him for a long time. I mean, you can check his record on like, especially with LGBTQ plus.
Oh, with HUD, yeah.
He's just been he's been a monster in terms of like his philosophy on it, and he literally thinks of them as just like less than people. I mean, like you ask him a question about it, he doesn't. He's just so ignorant, and he doesn't even like try to like hide it or even try to give reason for it, and it's embarrassing. But it if you think about it on like on a larger sense, it really makes you understand that just because you have a piece of paper from whatever university it may be does not make you an intelligent individual. And he is a prime fucking example of that shit. Like he can be a doctor, he can have that fucking title. He's still a piece of shit moron. Like I don't care. Just because you can pay to have some credits attached to your name doesn't make you a smart person.
Mama Prodigy made me in her like.
I was there.
My formative years in elementary.
There.
Mama Prodigy was one of the hugest fans ever of Ben Carson back in the old days. And she made me read his
Gifted
book,
Hands.
Gifted Hands.
Yeah.
And I remember I read it and I was just like, holy shit, this guy went through a lot. And, he became one of the very few black brain surgeons, you know what I mean? That is an incredible feat from a medical and clinical background, and you have to know your shit to do that. But on everything else since then, I couldn't agree with you two more. He's an embarrassment. He's a clown.
We were at that same book signing.
Yeah.
Well, this.
Go
Go on.
Oh, go ahead.
Blue, go ahead real quick. You want to say something, and I'm going to say something.
No, I was just saying that fucking the fireworks are still going off, and there was one that was like insanely huge and scared the shit out of me. But no, there's also one of my somebody I follow. They're a Trump supporter, and they talked about this black lady who. They tried to say that, like, the whole Black Lives Matter and blah blah blah. But this black lady, she grew up with 8 brothers and sisters, and she grew up in a ghetto, and she dropped out of high school, and like her whole family dropped out of high school, and then like she had like a kid at 17 and blah blah blah. But now she like went to school and got 5 degrees, and she made like better and blah blah blah. But it's like, did she first of all, did she help her siblings out? Like, is she trying to support them, trying to bring them up to her level? Is she trying to help her community out so other people that grew up in her same situation are improving their life? Like, they're just trying to show like, oh yeah, if you're black, yeah, you can make your life better, but it's like, they don't understand like there's a struggle that black folks have to face, and just because you come out of the ghetto, you're just basically trying to reach to a level that the Caucasians try to help you. You're trying to reach a level that the Caucasians are already hitting, basically.
Yeah, well, this is actually, I'm glad you said that because it's something I was going to say anyway. Is that with Ben Carson and the person you're talking about, and even me, we're aberrations. Almost everybody in this podcast is aberrations.
Yep.
And I think it took me a while to really understand that. Is that we're unlikely stories, okay? And that's a problem that I think most people don't understand, and they don't recognize. It took me a long time to recognize, because it's super easy for somebody to say, pull yourself up by the bootstraps. However, everybody that's on this podcast that lives in a quote unquote privileged life, we worked hard as fuck to get there, and it is likely way harder than somebody that was white. I can say that in my aspect with fair certainty. I went through a lot of shit, but it was also because, how do I put this? The things that fucked me up when I was a kid spurred me to be a better person. When I was in first grade, I failed first grade when I had passing grades. And that was the first time I recognized racism in my life, because there was no other reason for me to fucking fail. And they put me back. When that happened, I didn't give a shit about school anymore. And it was negative, but it was positive for me. All right, because I realized that for me, school wasn't helpful to my life. I wasn't going to gain anything more from this. I didn't give a shit. about it anymore, and it's also why it's hard for. What was good about it is I didn't buy into the indoctrination, because school in America indoctrinates you into some bullshit. All right, and I was told that I was never going to be anything when I grew up, from teachers. You know, and look where I'm at now, doing just fucking fine. I'm getting paid way more than the fucking teachers are. But
I had this discussion in a way with Lilo when we were just sort of talking about just like racism in general and systemic racism specifically. And when we got into the whole topic about like our group of friends and everything, because obviously her large group of black friends we're in the same friend group and everything. And I tried to explain to her, I'm like, yeah, I haven't had, we were talking specifically about like police brutality and negative positive experiences with the police. And I told her, I was like, I haven't had any negative experiences personally with the police, but I am an exception.
Yeah.
And I was like, also, same thing probably with the group of our friends. I know Old Ninja has had an incident, but for the
a few
most
incidents.
yeah, but I'm like, we are vast outliers in terms of like what black people experience in general as a whole. I told her, I was like, we all grew up upper middle class in arguably the most richest area in the United States.
Yeah.
And we were all, for the most part, pretty well off. And that is not the story. I mean, we all of us have had struggles that we had to come through and overcome on personal levels, family, etc., professional levels. But compared to a lot of other people of color, I told her, I was like, we've had it good in terms of like how it could have been. Like we didn't grow up in the middle of St. Louis or Flint, Michigan, or anything with parents missing, or our parents weren't strung out on drugs, et cetera, and have this huge, vast, crazy ass situations where we had to like leave high school to raise our sisters and brothers or siblings, which happens daily for a lot of people of color.
Yeah.
But we didn't experience that. And I told her, I was like, just because I didn't experience it personally, I'm not going to pretend like that didn't exist for a lot of other people, and that they're not a reality and everything. Like, I understand just because it wasn't my personal experience doesn't mean that it did not exist. And I think that it's very, I like how you touched on that in terms of like how our inner circle group of friends, we do have in a way kind of a bubble for those that don't. If we wanted to have our heads down in the sand about everything going on around us, it probably could be pretty easy for us. But we obviously are well educated and aware of everything going on around us to look and see outside of our personal lives and situations to understand that people have not had it as good as we have. Not to say that we're elitist or super privileged, but we have had it a lot better than a lot of other people of color had it in the United States, especially across the world.
Yeah, and I'll keep it honest, because you know, I like to be honest about things. I'm not a perfect person. All right, everybody knows that. For me, I think it's even more personal, because I was always like, well, why don't you just do what I did? But it's also like, looking back, it's like, how can you expect somebody to do what I did? You know what I mean? Like, I took a lot of fucking risks. And I'm going down a path to where most people, they can't do it. And it's not because of personal flaws. It's not even just, education. It's just like, well, part of it is education, but part of it's not, because I educated myself. And I can't expect to put my own personal standards on somebody else. To me, I'm realizing now that that's ridiculous. Like, the amount of like material and training that I had to put myself through to get through, the field that I'm in was substantial. I didn't see that much, if any, racism or anything like that in my field, but it was by design. When I was 11 years old, I knew what the fuck I wanted to do, and I stuck with it my entire goddamn life. most people in general, it doesn't matter what fucking color you are. When you're 11 years old, you're playing with fucking Legos and shit. And so was I.
Yep.
But I knew what the fuck I wanted to do. And
Bro,
so
even if you knew what you wanted to do, like if you live in a certain community, there'll be somebody within your community that will tell you like, little Negro, you're not. That's never gonna happen. Like you smoke your crack pipe. There's gonna be somebody to bring you down.
Yeah, I mean, I had the same deal. I mean, like people call me a fucking nerd, all this shit when I was young. You know, I talked white, all that fucking stupid ass crap bullshit that we all, probably all of us had to go through. And I was just like, fuck that. I'm working on computers. That's gonna be my life going forward. I don't give a shit. I gotta do it. And when I was like 17, 18 years old, I realized that it was like, hey. Well, I realized early on that I didn't give a shit about school. And so once I got to like 17, 18, I was like, what the fuck am I going to do if I don't give a shit about school? You know what I mean? I didn't, my grades were fucking insanely low. Go ahead, Prodigy.
I was just going to say really quickly, I hear you guys and all your stories, and I feel like it's extremely important, at least for me, to mention a whole lot of luck. I talk a lot about family and background. You know, I have a 2-parent household. My dad hustled doing graveyard shifts, put him into an early grave. You know, my mom was a teacher and tried to do everything she could from an educational standpoint. But a lot of it, even with, you know, trying to mitigate risk and put my parents trying to put me in the best position to succeed, some of it was luck. I owe my entire career to Kronos' mom putting in a good word for me when I was 21 years old, had zero skills whatsoever, and she put her reputation on the line to let me get an entry-level job in the industry that I'm in. And I didn't even know if I was going to even like the job. I just knew I didn't want to upset Kronos' mom.
And you had a degree.
I was like, you know what?
You had a degree.
Let me try.
You had a degree at the time, right? Yeah.
Well, this was while I was working on it still.
Oh, okay.
But even still, it was like, again, you don't know what it means to go up to bat for someone young and maybe ambitious, maybe not, but that lucky opportunity put me on a path 20 years later to where I feel fairly well established, you know? So, but I do want to say this, though. Once we're done with this topic, I don't want to forget the boys.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about it. Yeah,
switch.
I think luck. Yeah, that has to do with it too. I mean, like I'll fast forward to like the shit I was gonna say, but like if you want to talk about luck, like literally when I got laid off back in like 2008, 2009, I got laid off with a 1-day notice. Blue was there actually when I got the first, because we were watching a movie.
We were watching a movie.
Yeah, was it Coraline we were watching? I can't remember what movie we were watching.
I think it was District 9.
Oh, was it? Yeah. But
I think so.
Fucked up the whole movie for me though, because I got a call and it was like, well, you might get laid off, you know, in the next couple of days, and like the next day I was like, oh, okay, I have no job anymore. Anyway,
damn.
I remember I got laid off and I was like interviewing for jobs, and I got a new job within like 9 days, and it ended up being going back to Iraq with people that I worked with before, but it was with a skill set that I didn't really have. I answered all their questions correctly. Like when they asked me all the questions, I was like, yeah, I can give you all the answers. We're good to go. And it was by a guy that I knew. But if I didn't say the answers right, they wouldn't give me a chance. And I was like, listen, when I talked to like who was going to be my boss, I was like, hey, you know, I understand that, you know, I don't have like experience with the job that you're offering. Even though I answer all the answers correctly, I understand that you had some hesitancy. But I was like, listen, I guarantee you that I will get a certification in this field in 3 months.
Yep.
And if I don't get it in 3 months, you can just send me home. And I'll be fine with it. I have no problem with it. And he was like, okay. Offered me the job. I went to Iraq. As I'm working, I'm working 12-hour shifts 6 days a week. Most of the time, 7 days a week. I took the certification. I got 2 certifications in the same fucking field within 2 months.
Nice.
That's how hard I had to work. And when somebody says you have to work like double the amount of like somebody that's Caucasian or whatever, That might be true. I just know I'm gonna work as hard as possible, at least to get fucking my ass in the door. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I'm gonna prove to you that I got what you need, and let's go.
Yeah. Amazon. You know we love Amazon. You know they fuck with us.
They do.
They have dropped that hot fire on us once again. God damn it!
And
The Boys season 2. We've been waiting for this. This was a Golden Eggplant Award winner last year. Dropping September 4th. Gentlemen, what do you think of this trailer?
dude, this trailer they dropped is not PG-13.
No.
This shit's fucking rated R. Like, holy shit. I thought I watched the trailer, I was like, oh shit. Oh, what the, oh, was that a head? Oh my god, what the fuck? This trailer was insane. Like, I've never watched a trailer that was so fucking bloody and gory and awesome and amazing at the same fucking time. It was amazing.
It was good. I'm excited for it. I was kind of hesitant about watching the trailer because I didn't want anything to be spoiled because I knew I was going to watch it anyways. But I was like, you know what? I'll watch the trailer, and I was just blown away. I was like, oh my god! I was like, and like you said, I was like, is that a head? I was like, oh, someone's got powers. What's this? What's going on? That's a new person. And I was like, I wanted to watch the trailer again and try to go and like watch every single piece of information that's different. But I was like, nope, don't do it. You're gonna spoil some shit for you. I'm excited. I can't wait. It looked amazing. I mean, the Boys season 1 was absolutely great. For those that haven't watched it, you have to. It's an easy marathon, especially during quarantine times. I mean, we're gifting you with something to pass the time when you're supposed to be staying at home. If you need to watch something, watch The Boys season 1. So good. Season 2 is coming. I can't wait. In September, 2 months from now or something? I can't wait.
Yep, September 4th. Labor Day.
Yeah.
And, with the trailer, we got to see like they gave little samples and snippets, but it looks like we got a few more extra characters that are added. We get to see our original cast coming back, but like just the fucking blood and gore that's going to be in this because literally the first 5 or 10 minutes of the first episode of season 1 was like, God, like it basically is this is gonna be a spoiler, but it's basically a guy and his girlfriend hanging out, and his girlfriend's on the curb, and they're all lovey-dovey, and all of a sudden his fucking girlfriend gets obliterated. She just, her head and spine and blood and guts are just flying in the air. You're like, what the fuck is going on? And basically a speedster ran through a pedestrian, and he says sorry, just keeps on running, and you just get to see like how the world is from a superhero's point of view. But then again, like, you know, it's not roses and candies with superheroes, and that's what one thing that Boys really, really stands out about, or they basically stick to with the story.
Yeah, it's a fantastic show. Me and Old Ninja got to go to the red carpet at Comic-Con last year.
Yeah.
And that was awesome.
It kind of sucks. I wish the whole squad was there for that, because that was definitely a fucking an event to behold. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on. It was great.
We leveled up when that happened.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool. You know what's crazy right now is that there's actually a new Boys comic. The Boys comic. It's called Dear Becky.
Ooh.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah, and I'm obviously read this one. But yeah, number 2 came out a couple maybe last week or 2 weeks ago. For me, comics are I don't know when comics come out right now because like literally there was like 3 months where I didn't pick up comics and then I picked them up and it was like, oh, but I have no idea when they came out. So The Boys,
Okay.
Dear Becky, number 1 could have came out fucking 3 months ago. I have no fucking idea.
Yep.
But I like it so far. It's a little weird though because Garth Ennis, the way that he's writing, because they're in Scotland or some shit, and he writes it in like super Scotlandish fucking dialect, and it's like hard for me to read until they get back to like The Boys, because it comes from like the point of view of Huey, and he's in Scotland for some reason, and it's like super deep dialect and like Scottish. I'm just like, okay, I have to like slow down my reading.
You just gotta hang out with Dirty Stu some more.
I guess so. Yeah, but it's like it's just hard for me to read for right now. But I can still read it. It's still interesting because it's going back to like there's some shit that's gonna go down, I think, in this one, but it's gonna be probably fucked up as like the first series, because this is like 12 years after like where we're at in The Boys with the show and the original comics. So I guess I know where the show's gonna go now.
Okay.
Yeah, which I probably should have read the comics first, the original comics first. But yeah, I already know where now the second season's gonna go, where it should go anyway. But it should be interesting. But yeah, the trailer of The Boys season 2, it looked really good. It looked just as good, or if not better, than the first one. There's fucking fucked up shit happening, blood and gore. You know, there's new characters. It seems interesting.
There's a one scene where this guy who's Superman, basically, where he throws his son off the roof. And I'm like, oh shit! Like, it's literally like a mama bird trying to teach their babies how to fly, but we don't know if his kid has superpowers or not.
He'll be just fine. If he's on V, he'll be fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Good shit. Should we do any B's and B's, or was there any last subjects we want to touch upon?
Did you guys ever answer the question of, after 5 years of podcasting, what is your favorite moment as a podcaster?
God damn.
So I think it's been the first time all five of us have been on in a while.
Go ahead.
I think the what the fuck is his name? The interview that we had, the dude from Ghostbusters, Nas.
Ernie Hudson.
Ernie Hudson, yes. That probably was when I had this moment of just like self-realization. I'm like, dude, he's on our cast talking to us. How the fuck did we, like, how did we get here? And it's just like one of those things where it's just like, we were literally just in a group chat, just like bullshitting about, yo, let's start a podcast. We just start a podcast. Yeah, we can do this. All right, go buy the mics. All right, cool. Next thing we know, we're talking to Ernie Hudson or whatever. And like, that's when we've had plenty of interviews before, but with Ernie Hudson, it just hit me or whatever. It was like, how the fuck did we get here or whatever? And it was just one of those like really cool things. And I was just like so appreciative, and just like where you just take a moment to like reflect and like breathe it in and just be like, wow, what the fuck did we do?
So you know what's fucked up?
It's just really cool.
No, I'm glad you brought that up, but you know what's fucked up is that when somebody's like, oh, you have a podcast? I'm like, yeah, you know, we got a podcast, and you know, we have had a lot of interviews. And they're like, well, who have you interviewed? And I'm like, you know, Ernie Hudson. And they're like, who's that? I'm like, what the fuck? You know who the fuck on your... Have you watched Ghostbusters? Like, who the fuck are you? Why are we friends?
Yeah.
Like, for me,
even like Echo Callum was another one that I was just like, dude, I've been watched Q for so long on Arrow, and I was just like, when Kronos and him started geeking out, I think it was about Final Fantasy or something, and I was just like, what the fuck is going on? I was like, he's not supposed to be a real person. He's supposed to be a celebrity, and him and Kronos just like geeking out compared to Final Fantasy, just like they're just like two boys like just chilling in a bar, just drinking or whatever. And it was just so fucking cool that. And I tell people that when they ask me about like, oh, I want to get into podcasting and stuff like that, I'm like, it's not that hard, really, or whatever. As long as you've got a good core group of people, especially friends, and you can just talk and communicate with each other and have different opinions, but be able to like effectively communicate your viewpoints on it. All you need are microphones. I mean,
spoken as a non-engineer.
Well, I know that we need microphones. You, on the other hand, have done things to set the podcast back, like deleting half of our followers, getting fucked up by
oh, Jesus Christ.
So, yeah,
oh,
I haven't done things to mess up or set the podcast back.
Go ahead, Blue.
For me, my most iconic moment was when I interviewed Nichelle Nichols.
Yeah.
Like, there's two moments that I was super nervous for, but for her, I was super nervous because I couldn't expect them. Every time I would think of her characters in Star Trek, Aurora, I was like, fuck, how the hell do you pronounce that? Like, I'm gonna have to go live with this, well, not live, but like, I'm gonna go recording with this lady, and I'm gonna say her character's name wrong. But she was like the sweetest lady. It was almost like talking to like an auntie. Like she was super sweet and kind. And even though she had a diva moment before we went live because she did not want to be where we were. But no, like just talking to her and like let her hear her story. Like I wish I could talk to her out like not about Star Trek stuff. Like talk about her like how she grew up in the past, like the stuff that she had to deal with. Like I know she was the first African American kiss or multiracial kiss seen on TV. Like it'd be interesting to talk to her now, but like it's I don't know. It was such an iconic moment. It's almost like talking to like a civil rights person, just because she had like this huge impact on Black history going forward and stuff like that. But that moment was really stressful or really crazy. But then also like we went to San Diego Comic Con and I interviewed like the cast of The Gifted. I was super nervous about that because we had 1 minute to ask as many questions we had. There was 2 people we had to ask questions for, and it was like, fuck, like I want to shoot out these questions, but at the end it was like so much fun. Like I actually had to sit down and like my endorphins were so fucking high. I had to like sit down and like chill just to kind of come down from the high that I was fucking feeling.
Good
Those
shit.
were my 2 moments.
Kronos, what you got?
To me, it was meeting John Oakes at SVVR a few years back, because he was like, we didn't know this at the time when we met him. We went to the SVVR like after party. So first of all, going to SVVR was insane for us because it's an industry, it's a Silicon Valley VR like expo. And the prices to get into that fucking expo are insane. It's a lot of money. It's thousands of dollars. And so we got in, I forget how, because I think we knew like one of the PR people from like one of the other conventions that we went to.
From Silicon Valley Comic Con.
Yeah.
We knew that person, yeah.
I forget her name, but she was cool as fuck because once we got in with her, she would like reach out to us to like go to other conventions, and like one of them was SVR. And so we went to the after party for SVR on like I think the first or the second night, and we happened to be eating and drinking, like watching I think it was the Wave VR like live, wasn't it?
Yeah. No, it was
somebody was DJing live.
Yeah, it was the Wave.
I think it was the Wave. Yeah, they were DJing live on this on a stage with like this mixer, it's a VR mixer, and we were just who else was there? It was me? Was it Blue? It was just me and you?
Yeah, I think you too.
Okay. So we were just kind of like walking around, eating and drinking, and then all of a sudden we happened to bump into...
For free.
What's up?
I said, don't forget it was for free.
Yeah, it was free for us, yeah. But we happened to bump into one of the guys that ran the show, John Oakes. And, we talked, he's a super nerd. He was cool as fuck. And I asked him to like, hey man, can we do an interview with you on the podcast? And he was like, I'll do it, but you have to read Ready Player One, because I didn't read it. And I was like, all right, I'll read it, and then let's fucking do this. And so after that, like that opened up a whole new like section of the podcast, which is like kind of closed right now, for obvious reasons. But to me, that was like very significant that somebody gave a chance to a relatively small podcast at the time. To like come to the studio, which is actually a VR fucking museum.
Yep.
And to like do the podcast at that spot, and because of that, we got to do like the AWE, which is the Augmented World Expo. We got to do the one of the
Ella Darling.
Yeah, we met Ella Darling there. With the AWE thing, we also got to go to the Osterhout group thing where they had like the AR glasses. We had to actually tour their location with my brother, and it was cool. It was so fucking. So that opened up a whole different like world to us that was cool as fuck. We had other interviews too that were really good, but none of for me, meeting John Oakes like opened up a whole different industry to us, and that was really fucking cool.
Old Ninja, did you get yours? Old Ninja, you still there?
Are you muted?
Oh, I'm on mute.
Okay.
So you can hear the fan in the back. But yeah, I'm just going to say, I just want to make it broad. I guess the entire fact that we're able to connect with celebrities,
Yeah.
that to me, I think that opened up a new branch in my mind for our podcast because the first year I got to go to Comic-Con in my entire life was weird because literally within a few weeks we had interviewed Dominique Provost-Shockley from Wynonna Earp, and literally we went to Comic-Con. We saw the panel where we, myself and Prodigy, got a chance to meet the entire cast, and we got to talk to the producer. And they were going to an award ceremony, and this little person comes running full speed at me to give me a hug, and it was Dominique Provost-Shockley, to say thank you for the gift that we gave her, because we usually, there's some behind the scenes shit, but usually everyone that we interview, we give them a little thank you. And she was very, very, very appreciative of it. And it was so weird that this person that I actually watched on TV is giving me this huge hug and thanking me. Was the most bizarre experience I'll probably ever have in my life. And then that whole time I got to talk to Melanie Scafaro, who's the star of Wynonna Earp. We got to talk to the producer and writer. I can't think of her name at the moment. We've had our first interview with Dominique Tipper, and we got to hear her little British voice come through the speakers and whatnot, seeing her just praising and meeting Kevin Garveau, meeting just like crazy celebrities left and right.
That was totally random. I just happened to see him during a fucking. We were trying to get food.
During lunch.
Yeah.
But like meeting them, meeting Ella Darling, talking to Ernie Hudson, the interviews we did at WonderCon, we met, we talked to the actress that plays Gert on The Runaways. We talked to one of the actresses from Star Trek Discovery. Just like, it was just really surreal that I'm literally like watching them. Like the day before, I'm standing in front of them and like getting a chance to ask them a question, or one of you guys get a chance to ask them a question. We're able to interact with them. It's been a really surreal experience for me, and I think we totally leveled up. And I told y'all from the beginning, #WePress.
You did say that. You did say that. I got one. For me, I'm always going to go back to 2019. I had gone to Fanime a whole bunch of times, but being able to present at Fanime was fucking special.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah.
To me, it was just a culmination, because I remember going there a few times with all of you, and we'd go to panels and we'd be like, we could do this. Why don't we have a fucking panel? And the guys would look at me like, hey, Prodigy, make that happen. And I was like, I don't know if I can do this, but we got a fucking panel. And, you know, and it was a full packed house. Waifu Jasmine was in there. And, you know, I've talked about a million times with Blue nearly getting gutted by the woman who was in
That
was great.
Oh, man.
That was great. She was going to throw a chair at your ass, and I was here for it. I was so here for it. But for me, being able to sit in front of fellow fucking weebs and like get everybody in the audience to go along with my bullshit and being saying Dio Brando did nothing wrong, like that was just beautiful. I'll never forget that in my life.
Yeah, like doing panels is something that to me that is generally surreal.
Yeah.
Is that people? I mean, I understand that people listen to the podcast and watch the podcast. Obviously, I see the numbers all the time.
When we do live events, that shit's fucking surreal too when people actually show up.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like when we do panels and like live events, like it's really cool that people like show up and they ask us questions, and it's like I remember like the first time we went to
Cape and Cow.
Cape and Cow, yeah.
Yeah.
I was just like, wow, like people are here and they're like captivated to like listen to us, and that's like really cool. Yeah, and like Fanime, I think Fanime last year was like probably our largest. Actually, was that the largest one? No, there was another one that was bigger.
San Francisco.
Yeah, San Francisco Comic-Con.
San Francisco Con, yeah, that was huge.
That was thick.
And it had like, this is what's weird, is that after these panels are done, we should probably do like, I should probably leave the camera on, is that afterwards, people come up and talk to us. Like I think for the first time we did San Francisco Comic-Con, there was at least 2 people that said like, this is like, that was the favorite panel that they had the whole time.
Yeah.
Was our panel. And I was like, holy shit, are you fucking for real? Like, thank you so much. Like, you listen to our bullshit. Like, that is so cool. That's your favorite part of this whole thing.
And we've met so many cool people though. Also, we've met Becky, Joe, Matt from Prereq.
Yeah. I flew out and saw him.
Yeah. We met Bunny Man through our panel and everything.
Warrior Fella, is he? Is that the
we
guy?
We met him at Anime. We met Warrior.
We met a bunch of
official
times.
bartender.
Clay.
Yeah, it's just people like reach out to us, and I love also how we're really accessible. Where we're just like, people are like, oh yeah, we want to hang out with you, buy you a drink or whatever. We're just like, yeah, cool, let's kick it or whatever. Kronos does a great job of like putting out there that, yo, you want to chill during SF Beer Week? Just hit me up. We'll meet up and stuff like that. So it's not like what little celebrity that we have, and we've let it go to our heads, and we're just like, nah, we can't mess with you plebes out there or whatever like that. We're just like, yeah, come, let's hang out. We're with the people. We just want to hang out, chill, and just talk good nerd shit, and we love it. It's been a great ride.
One of the best feelings is when somebody who listens to the podcast recognizes you, because that's happened like maybe twice so far during our whole podcast career. Like someone was like, "Hey, are you Blue?" I'm like,
"Yeah, it's like,
oh yeah, are you Blue from Back to the Finish?" Like, yeah, like what the fuck's going on? Like this shit's not real. Like, how do you know who the hell I am?
It happened at fucking Costco. It happened at Costco. That was fucking crazy to me. I was in a Costco in Hayward, and like this younger girl was like, well, first like somebody was like watching me, like an older black dude, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, did I fucking do something to you? Like, what the fuck is going on here? And like later on, like when I was in the checkout
get your
line,
hand out my pocket.
Yeah, like I'm about to get assassinated. And then like later on, I was in the checkout line, and I guess that was the girl's father. Mm-hmm. And she listened to the podcast and was like, "Oh my god, like you're Kronos from Back to Infinity." I was like, "Yeah," like, like that was close fuck to me. Yeah.
I always think somebody's gonna swing on me for something I've said, and I'm like, God damn it, I done fucked up now. I'm gonna get gutted like a fish, or they're gonna throw a chair at my black ass.
One thing I love doing is that, like, you know, we do all the beer fests and stuff, and like I make so many friends, and I try to I literally take people's phones out and I'll put in our podcast, but I love giving people a shout out too. Like anybody who I met and who I like introduced to the show, I give them a shout out on the podcast. Like it's like I have to like make sure I write it in my phone because I almost like to forget. But like I love getting shout out to people.
I love the fact that we gave a reluctant shout out after Fanime. We were just like, hey, fuck the one person who sent us a nasty ass email afterwards. We'll mention you this one time, but fuck you forever.
Yeah. Oh, wait, hold on. And this is also, we didn't even talk about the person that wrote a goddamn thesis on the podcast. Yeah. And we didn't.
Prodigy, you read this, didn't you? It's like
I read it too. It was good.
Yeah.
And there was somebody else that did something too that was just like totally random. It was just like, wow, you know.
Like, yeah, they sent you a comic, right? Didn't they send a comic to the podcast?
God damn it, I forget his fucking name. One. No, it's not even just like the comic was cool, but it was the letter, and it was the letter. Like I teared up a little bit. All right, I keep it 100. Like I teared up when I was reading the letter that he wrote.
It was a guy who he kind of didn't know what to do with his life, but from listening to the podcast, he was like he decided to change his life around. Like he talked about how he got into like engineering or stuff like that, and like he got certified in different programs. And
yeah. That was. I remember that one. Yeah, that one. The thesis paper too, because that person did their thesis because they came to our panel.
No, that's a different person. The person that we're talking about from the comic, that he didn't write a thesis.
No. Oh, no. I'm trying to. Sorry, I went back to the thesis person.
Okay.
But yeah, that person came to one of our panels because they didn't know what to write about, and because of our panel, gave them the inspiration to write their thesis paper. And then the guy who did
it's right here.
The guy who did the engineering thing, he talked about Kronos because he said a lot of what Kronos did or about his life helped him choose that path to do like engineering because he didn't go to school like Kronos didn't and he didn't know what to do, and he's like, well, I'm gonna do what Kronos did. I'm just gonna go to vocational school and see what happens. And he said he got into it and he liked it and he wrote a thank you letter.
Yeah, so
Because of us.
the guy's name is Sol Ronan, and I'm not going to read his letter because
It's really long.
we talked about it before, and it's long. No, but it's really cool. But he got Trad Moore to sign Silver Surfer Black #1. And the reason why it's right here next to me is because the Infinity Base is still it's almost done. But this and your letter is getting mounted in the Infinity Base.
Fuck yeah.
Like, seriously, it is.
Fuck yeah.
And it's like that's why I keep your letter in here, is because I'm going to mount it in the Infinity Base. Thank you. That was like,
See?
this is the coolest gift that we've ever got. I'm pretty sure. It's the coolest gift that I ever got on the podcast.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, I've only gotten random helicopter dick pics. That's it. You know?
I thought you were the one sending those. That's why someone's going to swing on you.
Oh, that's right.
That's
right.
how that works.
The only reason why this question was on the podcast for that Beat and yeah is because we actually been doing our podcast for a little bit more than 5 years. So this was the question that was asked to find out like what's our favorite moment this far. Like it's half a decade. So
Damn.
it's just kind of looking back to see where we came from and see what we've done and what we plan on going to the future. But right now with the coronavirus out there, who fucking knows?
Well, I mean, and honestly, after the Infinity Base is done, you're going to get more content. Like, we collectively were giving out more content over the past, like, month. And it kind of dropped off. But I'm going to start giving out more after the Infinity Base is done. And actually, tomorrow I'm going to record a really cool podcast with somebody that me and Blue both know. I'm gonna interview somebody that Blue went to the senior prom with.
No, wait, it wasn't senior prom. It was junior prom.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's gonna be live because I got so many questions.
She's married with kids.
Spill that tea.
Well, because she's been like a huge activist for. I'm not sure activist is the word, but she's been really pushing the whole Black Lives Matter thing. So it'd be kind of cool to see her point of view because she's been through a lot of shit, which is fucking sad. But you know, she's definitely there for people. She's Caucasian, but like to see her, like the stuff that she posts on Facebook, it's like wow, like she's fucking getting it.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear it.
Well, because I reached out to her because I was like, hey, have you? Because she goes hard as fuck against racists on Facebook, and it's just I'll tell some stories on the other podcast, but it's been really cool to see. And I was like, hey, have you read like these certain books? And like one of them she was like yes, the other one she was like no, but I think she's reading it like the one she said no to now. And so we're gonna talk about one of the books tomorrow, and then just like talk about like her whole journey because. From what I understand, like, her family wasn't, like, the greatest towards black people.
Yeah.
Like, growing up. So, from what I read.
That's cool.
And so I want to talk about, like, her whole journey of, like, kind of waking up against, like, this racist shit.
She was always a sweet girl back in high school. Like, she was, like, the coolest person to hang out with. Like, the fact that I asked her to prom and she said yes was, like, wow. Like, this is actually happening.
That's awesome, guys. We gotta wrap this one up though.
You do. What are you talking about? I got time.
God damn.
I'm just kidding. It's all good. I gotta wake up early too.
Yeah, everybody does. Let's do a real quick what we got populating or recommending this week. Blue, start with you.
I'm continuing my journey of certification. There's a lot of like what Cohen said earlier about like, you know, he wanted to be in computers growing up, and I kind of wanted to do the same thing. I kind of fell off the track, but I'm definitely on that same rail right now. And the stuff I wanted to learn and knowing it now is like, wow, like the shit's it's crazy. The stuff I should have known is like, wow, like I feel so informed and I feel I can do a lot of stuff already. But you know, I'm definitely going to continue that journey and get my certification in certain degrees and areas. But other than that, there's some stuff. I'm helping somebody who they're selling their house, so I'm helping to do a couple of home improvement stuff. But one thing I just wanted to touch on real quick. So the story I told about earlier about the sweetness and the white family, the joke, that thing, she didn't post that to say like she didn't go through that same thing that I did, like, you know, being a kid of color, getting away with stuff. Like she definitely had to go through that same shit. but she just thought it was funny because of the way the guy portrayed it. But for me, I still didn't think it was funny. But I just wanted to make that clear that she lived that same lifestyle as I did. So just wanted to clarify that.
She sent you a text. She sent you a text to clean that story up, didn't she? While you were on the air, I knew it. All right.
She's out there with a knife. Like, I'm gonna stab you, motherfucker.
Stitch, what you got?
Just pretty much just chilling, staying home. Obviously, Barry Storm. She's been enjoying the hot weather and been playing in her little mini inflatable pool, which has been awesome. Because it's important to teach your black children how to swim.
Yeah.
I don't know where that stereotype came from and all that stuff, but teach them to swim. It's important.
The stereotype, as far as I've seen when I was in the Marine Corps, holy shit, if it's not 80% true, it's probably 90% true. Like, cause listen, when I went to fucking swim qual when I was in the Marine Corps, so many fucking African Americans could not swim. Like, motherfucker, why'd you join the Marine Corps? Well, you don't know what the fuck Marine means? Why can't you fucking swim?
Yeah. I can't even be mad because I almost drowned at like raging waters because it was like it's supposed to be a water slide part, and so I go down the slide and then you don't realize that it's a big ass pool at the bottom where your feet can't touch the water. So the lifeguard had to come yank me up out the water. So teach your children how to swim. It's important. Other than that, playing Daisy again. Daisy is really fun. They did a patch to help with building base. Really cool. And also. I'm probably going to talk about it next week, what's going on, I guess, with the Oakland Zoo. The Oakland Zoo's in a lot of trouble financially. And I've talked about it before. It's one of my absolute favorite zoos I've been to. I mean, I'm more of a San Francisco versus Oakland guy. I lean towards San Francisco on a lot of stuff. The Oakland Zoo, like I said before, is the bomb. The Oakland Zoo is amazing. It was renovated years back, and it's amazing. And a lot of people that are just like, oh, I don't like to see zoo animals locked up, they have not been to the Oakland Zoo because that thing is ridiculous. It's like I didn't even realize that there was that much open space in the Bay Area where they were just like, yeah, we're taking all this mountain area over here and you're going to have to take a sky tram to get to it, and we're just going to let the animals just roam free all over that shit. So they're going through a lot of troubles right now financially, as a lot of businesses are. And I saw something today how if you want to donate like bread and like fruits and vegetables that aren't like rotten, they're taking those items to help like feed some of like the buffaloes and stuff like that.
Christ.
But don't do some Joe Exotic Walmart meat. Yeah. So hopefully that gets back on track because I've been to zoos a bunch of times that we've talked about on the cast, and I would really love to bring my daughter to the Oakland Zoo, and so I hope that they make it through this tough period.
Yeah, the thing that's kind of back off what you said, it's just if you have a fruit tree, and like say like some of the fruit's trying to go bad, like they will come and like pluck the fruit off your tree for it to be able to use that for the animals.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cronus, what you got?
That was a really good message. I mean, seriously, we can do some positive work in this world, apparently. What do I have going on? I'm trying to think what's coming up. I'm finally getting back into comics because I talked about before. I had to stop getting comics for a while because of COVID-19, and now I'm getting them. But I have to delay any comic book reading by a week because I have to, when I get comics, I have to let them sit somewhere for at least 2 days, and then the next week then I'll read them. I'm already behind, and I'm caught up on Batman except for this week because it just got in and I have to wait a week to fucking read it. But I'm trying to catch up. I started reading The Boys, a bunch of other comics. I need to catch back up with Marvel, and that's been it's been good to catch back up with comics again. Finishing The Last of Us 2, that was great, but now I'm playing Saints Row the Third, the remastered version for the PS4. Mm-hmm. You know what's crazy? This game is more glitchy than the one on PS3.
Oh.
Yeah, 100. Like I'm not even gonna lie, it's still enjoyable to play. It's still fun, but there's still times where I'm like hitting glitches. I'm like, how am I hitting glitches in a game that was made fucking 8 years ago? Not 8 years ago. Maybe it was like 7 years ago. It was a while ago.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is kind of fucked up. Like, anyway, I think that's all I got. Yeah, that's all I got.
Old Ninja, what you got?
So I just finished Fallen Order yesterday.
Mm.
So that's one off my list of like growing games that I got. I'm gonna try to I've been on this Resident Evil fix, so I'm probably gonna go and do Resident Evil 2, then 3, then 7. So we'll see how that works out. But I'm also on my second playthrough with Swole Abby, say her name. And then just catching up on shows. There's all these shows that like we had talked about or whatnot, but like for instance, Winona Earp season 4 starts the end of the month,
Oh,
and
nice.
like all 3 seasons are on Netflix. So
Yeah.
I got some catching up to do. I'm behind on The Expanse and a bunch of other shows, so I'm trying to slowly catch up on some of that kind of stuff, and then. I don't think I'm going out of town again. I'm trying to stay out of jail, and then because some shit happened over the weekend that could have landed me in jail, but it worked out.
Killing
So
hookers or what?
other than that, I'm still here for it. Still doing the thing.
So still killing hookers.
As long as you weren't homies with Mr. Wizard from Evo Online, I think you'll be all good.
No. It's basically like stuff that California doesn't allow. I actually had access to, and they're like, "Hey, what are you doing with this?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And so we went off from there.
What you got in your pocket? I'm gonna take it. I am gonna try to finally finish off Persona 5 because it's a really great game. It literally plays just like an anime. It's certainly a weeb game, but it is fun as fuck. A really good JRPG. Still working my way. Made it past Water 7 and Endless Landing in One Piece. I'm still gonna be the fucking Pirate King, so I'm in the 330s now. Doing that weeb shit. And there's one new weeb recommendation that Uncle Prodigy has for y'all. The God of High School had a pilot. Had a pilot on Crunchyroll. It's not ecchi or hentai enough like interspecies reviewers.
Oh my god!
But it's action. It's action packed. Good premise. Lots of fighting on motorcycles, and it's a true martial arts fighting anime. And it is made by Crunchyroll. It's worth checking out. There's only one episode out so far. This one may be a 2020 hit, and we need all the hits we can get.
I heard this actually was pretty good. This is getting a lot of positive reviews, and there's a lot of buzz on this. So this might be one to actually check out. We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, I hope they have some horse fucking in it, though.
What the fuck? Jesus
God
Christ.
dang.
So anyway.
Christ.
For the culture.
So
For the
now
culture.
we're getting pulled from
Because
YouTube. Thanks, Prodigy.
You need to check out BNA on Netflix. That show is the PG-13 version of Beastars.
Ooh. You mean they got Judy Hopps, slutty Judy Hopps doing some fucking?
Oh, we got a raccoon and a fox. Or no, a raccoon and a wolf.
I'm there.
Check it out.
Damn.
All right,
Bestiality.
somebody take us out
I
of here.
love it.
All right, you just experienced Black and the Black Times Infinity. Check us out. Check us out on the internet everywhere with Beathan BTI's BTHAN BTI. Check out our official website, benhatproduction.com/Beathan BTI. We're on anywhere you can listen to podcasts except for iHeartRadio. We're on Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Player
Wait, we're
FM,
not on iHeartRadio?
and Amazon. Eh?
We're not on iHeartRadio?
Not that I am aware of.
I think
I
it's
don't
just
think we show up.
I think. Did they have podcasts?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they claim to be the #1 outlet for podcasts.
Well, we need to rectify
I
it.
fucking seriously doubt that, but yeah, we can definitely get on that.
Let's go. We'll make that happen. And then check us out also on Apple Podcasts. We're on there as well.
Ski.
Everywhere.
Watch Harley Quinn.
Abby's still on that pole.
Abby's still swole.
She was cool.
She still got
Like,
bigger
Lindsay
arms.
Lohan was hot.
She still got bigger arms than you.
Damn.
She used to.
Alright, we're out of here.
God damn. Y'all are crazy.